Bob, no guessing as far as Dale Earnhardt's concerned. We know that he's going to try to charge to the front, get those 5 bonus points for leading a lap, and then he'll try to lead the most laps to get those 5 bonus points. That's his style.
But Mark Martin and Jack Roush, more a calculating style. They're going to run their own race. They're not going to worry about Earnhardt and Childress as much as they are the racetrack and the length. But they have to keep Earnhardt in mind and make sure they keep him in sight all day. Otherwise, they could lose some valuable points.
All right, thank you, guys. The cars are on the pit lane, just about ready to move out onto the racetrack. The engines have been started. They're warming up right now on this cloudy and cool afternoon here in Delaware. As you can see, we have a pair of Fords on the front row as the Winston Cup official stands on pit lane, getting ready to signal the drivers onto the racetrack. Clouds overhead, and as a matter of fact, the forecast is for the possibility of some rain showers by late this afternoon. We hope that they'll stay away so we can get the entire 500 miles in the Peak 500. The field begins to move away now on pit road, and let's now take a look at the starting lineup. The Sears Die-Hard starting lineup for today's Peak 500. The pole sitter from Dawsonville, Georgia is Bill Elliott in the number 9 Coors Ford, qualifying at 144.928. Jeff Bodine in another Ford is alongside in the front row. He's from Chemung, New York, the number 11 Budweiser Ford. Second row is Dale Earnhardt from Kannapolis, North Carolina, the GM Goodwrench Chevy car number 3, and Ernie Irvan from Modesto, California, outside of the second row in the Kodak Film Chevy car number 4. Starting in 5th position is Alan Kowicki from Greenfield, Wisconsin, the number 7 Xerox Antifreeze Ford, and then the points leader, Mark Martin from Batesville, Arkansas, in the Folgers Ford car number 6. Starting in the 4th row is Davey Allison from Hueytown, Alabama, in the Texaco Haviland Ford car number 28, and Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina, in his 350th NASCAR start. The 5th row is Rusty Wallace from St. Louis, Missouri, in the number 27 Miller Pontiac, and then Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Buick car number 26. The 7th row, Dale Jarrett and Sitco Ford. He's from Conover, North Carolina, the 21 car, and Dick Trickle, the pole sitter in the race here in the spring, car number 66. In the 7th row is Morgan Shepherd, car number 15, and Dave Marcus in number 71. And then the Petties in the 8th row, 42 Kyle Petty on the inside, and Richard Petty, number 43, on the outside. As you look at the rest of the starting lineup, we have one rookie in the field. That's Rob Moroso. All 40 cars now on the main straightaway here, headed into turn number 1, getting set for a green flag that will send us on 500 laps, 500 miles of competition in the Peak 500. Tommy Ellis starting car number 83 in the 16th row. That's because Lake Speed crashed yesterday afternoon in the final practice session and did suffer a broken shoulder, I believe it was, and so he is unable to compete. Now let's take a look at some of the winning streaks that are in danger of being broken. Darrell Waltrip has won a race every year in the past 15 years, but not yet in 1990. Bill Elliott and Terry Labonte have 7-year win streaks on the line. They have not taken a checkered flag so far in the 1990 Winston Cup season. The field now is moving through the 3rd and 4th turns behind the pace car, and in just a moment we should be getting a green flag and underway this afternoon. The pace car hard turn left, the crowd on its feet waving their hats and cheering their drivers, and let's see if we get a green. Indeed we do. The Peak 500 is underway. Lap is complete. It's Bill Elliott. This shot from one of our 2 Peak in-car cameras being carried by Ernie Irvan, who at the moment is running in 3rd position behind Dale Earnhardt and the leader, Bill Elliott. Here's the completion of lap number 2 behind Ernie Irvan. It's Jeff Bodine, then Alan Kowicki, Mark Martin, Harry Gant, and Brett Bodine.
Earnhardt sure didn't waste any time getting by Jeff Bodine up behind Bill Elliott to get those 5 bonus points for leading the race.
there's one driver that started up towards the front. Davey Allison has been dropping back a little bit. He's still out there running, but he's down on the inside running a little bit slower than normal. He seems to be up to speed now.
Here's action back in the pack. Darrell Waltrip in car number 17, his second race back from injuries. That's Hut Strickland beneath him in car number 12 as Waltrip falls in behind the number 8 car of Bobby Hillen and now goes to the high side in turn number 2. Waltrip with an excellent third-place performance last weekend at Richmond in his first race back from the injury suffered in a practice crash prior to the Pepsi 400. There's Derek Cope, who was the winner of the race here in February. He's running alongside Jimmy Spencer in car number 57 and behind Ken Schrader in the 25 Kodiak car.
Well, actually, he won Daytona in February, Bob. He won here in June.
Okay.
Derek Cope with 2 wins so far this year in the Purelator Chevrolet as he tries to move around Jimmy Spencer. Cope was the second round fastest qualifier, which put him in 25th place.
Spencer and Cope battling for position. Spencer able to hold Derek off for the moment. There's the leader, Bill Elliott, and the advantage that he has over Dale Earnhardt here in the early going, and Ernie Irvan.
Pretty significant advantage, as a matter of fact. And look, we see the smoke coming off the 3 car already.
Harry Gant in the number 33 car running alongside Rusty Wallace, and Dale Jarrett also right there in car 21. We had 7 Fords starting the event here, and all of them qualified in the top 13.
We're accustomed to seeing Barry Dotson, the crew chief, on that 27 car. Today, the crew chief duties are being held by Jimmy Makar. Barry Dotson not here this week with the team.
He has resigned from that position as crew chief on the car in order to devote more time to a new team that will be forming next year with Mickey Gibbs as the driver.
Well, Harry Gant finally got around Rusty Wallace. Here's Davey Allison. He had dropped back a little bit, now moving on the inside of Dale Jarrett. And Jerry Punch, do you have a report on what happened to Davey on the start of the race?
Indeed, Ed. What happened, they put a vent inside the left side of the driver's door this morning to give him some air. When he took the green flag, that vent sucked up some dust and debris inside the car. The debris got up on his goggles and he couldn't see for about a lap and a half. He had to pull his goggles off and clean them. Now he's got them clean, so he's back to racing.
Well, he started in 7th position. He now is running in 12th position.
Second problem for Davey Allison in 3 races right at the beginning of the event. Remember, in Darlington, he came in on the pace lap to secure the steering wheel with the pin. And now a problem here at the early going for Davey, but he's up to speed right now, right behind Dale Jarrett in the Citgo car.
Rusty Wallace looking inside of Harry Gant. That's Rusty in the black 27, Harry Gant in the green and white 33. And Bob, these cars are going down the back straightaway. At this point, about 150, accelerated up to a maximum of 160 miles an hour there as you drive off in the corner.
And the pole sitter averaged 144.9. That was about a half second off the 1-lap track record held by Mark Martin. Now Harry Gant and Rusty Wallace continuing that battle for position.
Fellas, it looks like Harry Gant is trying to work himself a groove up in the second groove. He likes to run high on this racetrack, or most any racetrack, and he is already up there in the second groove. The lower groove is working for Rusty Wallace right now, but he's not able to move around Gant.
In 8th position, Rusty Wallace is 9th, Davey is 10th, Dale is 11th.
Oh, Harry really got a good shot that time in that high groove mid and pulled ahead of Rusty Wallace.
If you can keep your RPMs up in that upper groove, it can really work for you.
There's Bill Elliott continuing to lead over Dale Earnhardt and Ernie Irvan. We're in the very early laps of the Peak 500 live on this Sunday afternoon from Dover Downs International Speedway. There's the leader, Bill Elliott, with a pretty good advantage on the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt and Ernie Irvan. The number 27 car of Rusty Wallace beginning to drop back just a little. He nearly lost it a lap or so ago, drifting high up in turn number 2. This is Kyle Petty's in-car camera.
Look at Dave Marcus having a great run out there in the Big Apple Market Chevrolet as Kyle tries to move on the outside of Marcus. Marcus gives him running room out there. They come awfully close coming off of turn 4. But Rusty did almost lose it in turn 2, and that's how Davey Allison and Dale Jarrett went around him, and Dave Marcus passed him as well. Now Rusty trying to work his way back up through the pack, but it doesn't look like the Miller Pontiac is handling as good as he would like for it to.
Looking back on Marcus from Kyle Petty's peak antifreeze in-car camera.
You see Ricky Rudd on the inside. Ooh, Rudd squeezes in between Rusty and Sterling Marlin in the blue number 94.
Ricky Rudd in the car number 5 started in 20th position, now running 14th, so he's moving towards the front.
Rudd trying to hold off the challenge of Marlin, the 66 car of Dick Trickle right there.
Also Michael Waltrip, the yellow 30 behind Dick Trickle.
Boy, Rusty Wallace and Dave Marcus running very close together down the straightaway and into the first turn.
Ooh, Rusty loses the back end, does a little chassé off the second corner.
I believe his car at the back end's loose on it, Benny.
Looks that way.
And certainly being down on the inside and other cars around you, that doesn't help the situation any.
Let's go to Jerry Punch for a report on Rusty Wallace's what appear to be early problems.
Well, I think Ned was exactly right, Ned. The back end is very, very loose on that Miller Pontiac. Rusty having a hard time keeping the back end underneath it. He's got to be very careful in the turns. In fact, he got together with Davey Allison, according to Rusty on the radio a little bit ago, so he's going to have to tiptoe for a while. As Sterling Marlin now makes a move and goes around or gets side by side with Rusty. He'll make the move and try to go around Rusty Wallace. Rusty brings the car down in turns 1 and 2. Marlin tries to get the advantage on the inside, so his car is very, very loose.
Rusty Wallace and Sterling Marlin nose to tail. Ricky Rudd and the 71 of Dave Marcus now in a battle for position.
Michael Waltrip and the Country Time Lemonade Pontiac number 30 coming into that picture now.
And right behind him is Dick Trickle, and I think Terry Labonte behind him, yes.
Now Trickle has backpedaled just a little bit. He started in the 12th position, but he has moved back just a little bit. It looks like he's got the Cale Yarborough Prop Arctic car on the go now.
Rusty Wallace is still trying to get by Dave Marcus. Unable to do so as they pass Mike Potter, that yellow and green car, Mike Potter.
That car is sponsored by the Dillon's Bus Service. Benny, that's a touring bus service. Mike Potter in the race here today.
Dick Trickle in car number 66 running in 17th position at the moment. Let's introduce our other pit reporter for the afternoon, John Kernan.
Well, Bob, Dick has radioed in and he's told his crew that the car is very loose. About the same problem Rusty Wallace has. The rear end's very loose. They have told him to hang on as best he can, and as soon as they get a caution, they will bring him in and try and tighten him up.
So a couple of drivers experiencing handling problems here in the first few laps.
And I'm sure the viewers look at that and listen to that and say, why? These fellas have been here 2 days practicing. Why can't they get it right? Folks, the weather's different. Everything is different. There's cars around you. I wish I knew the answer. If I knew the answer to that, I'd be a multimillionaire. I wouldn't have to put up with Bob Jenkins.
More than you make working for ESPN.
Much more.
Terry Labonte is in the number 1 car, and Rob Moroso is following him. There's Dick Trickle running in 17th position, and Terry Labonte, 18th spot. Right behind him is Rob Moroso in car number 20, and then comes Ken Schrader. Labonte, of course, also making an announcement this weekend concerning his plans for the 1991 season. That car, the 1 car, will be driven by Rick Mast for the next 2 seasons, as a matter of fact, as Terry Labonte goes back to the Billy Hagan team. Bill Elliott continues to roll along in the lead. That's his advantage on Dale Earnhardt. And the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company will be donating $1,000 in his name to the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary. Pole sitter Bill Elliott, a $1,000 award through the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company.
Bob, he had opened up a pretty good lead. Earnhardt is beginning to cut down on that lead a little bit.
There's Alan Kowicki and the points leader, Mark Martin.
He is running in 6th place.
Alan Kowicki is 5th, and Mark Martin is 6th, matching the number on the side of the car.
All Fords and Chevrolets in the first 6 spots. A Ford, 2 Chevrolets, and then 3 Fords.
Well, there's no indication right now that Mark Martin is trying to run down the leaders, Benny. He's running that calculated race that you spoke of at the top of the show.
But he certainly would like to get up there and lead so that he can register those 5 bonus points.
He will if he can easily. He'll go up and get those 5 bonus points. Otherwise, he'll wait till the 400-mile or 450-mile mark before he does anything that's irrational or uncalculated.
Elliott, Earnhardt, and Irvin, the top 3. Let's take a look at the top 20 as they stand right now at the completion of 30 laps here in the Peak Antifreeze 500. Stay with us for more exciting action from Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware. Your link to the drivers that are participating in today's Peak 500 via the 1-900-SPORTS-1 number. You dial that number and then punch in the car number of your favorite driver, and you can hear personal comments from them. You can also get race reports and the latest news in the Winston Cup competition. 1-900-SPORTS-1.
Well, the latest news right now is that Dale Earnhardt is just about to catch up to Bill Elliott. Look, what, 1 car length, Bob?
He's really closed in just the last 2 or 3 laps, as Elliott has been in the lead since the drop of the green flag. But Earnhardt really wants to take over that first position and earn the bonus points for leading, and then lead as many laps as he can so he can pick up the bonus points for leading the most laps. Tommy Ellis is driving that yellow number 83 again, originally assigned to Lake Speed, who crashed yesterday in practice.
And Lake did break his shoulder, Blake, but I understand that he's in good spirits and okay.
This is kind of an interesting statistic here. The bonus points, that is points for leading and leading the most lap. Earnhardt has accumulated 125, and Mark Martin only 65 of those bonus points.
And we have said in past championship battles, Bob, that those bonus points mean so much. And that's what Rusty Wallace kept saying all year in 1989. I'm going to get every bonus point that I possibly can, because he looked back over 1988 when he lost the championship, said, hey, had I tried a little harder to get those bonus points, I could have won the championship in 88. So he strived to do that in 89. He won the crown, and Earnhardt knows very well how important those points are. So he's trying to get as many of them as he possibly can, and has certainly done a good job this year.
And Earnhardt all of a sudden has lost 4 or 5 car lengths. It looks like that in getting up to Bill Elliott, he may have used the tires and got them a little bit too hot. Now he's going to have to just run easy for a couple laps, cool them off to make another charge.
And you wonder, Benny, if when he pulled up on Elliott, got a little bit closer to him, if it maybe tended to make his car a little bit loose from the air that's coming off of Elliott's car, especially if those tires are heated up.
We're inside Ernie Irvin's car with the Peak in-car camera. Ernie Irvin running in 3rd position.
Right there, 130, 35 miles per hour in the middle of the corner. That's the slowest that these cars go around the monster mile. Now down the straightaway, up to 160 at this point. Down in the 24-degree banking. Letting the car go. We saw him catch the car with his steering wheel just a moment. His car a little bit loose as well.
You can see up in front of the leaders there, there's heavy traffic that Bill Elliott is coming into. Dale Earnhardt right behind him. They have some very heavy traffic to maneuver through.
Oh, looky here. And you know that Earnhardt is just waiting for an opportunity to drive by that Coors Ford. Look at him smoke the tires trying to get under Bill Elliott. Now Elliott goes by
Jeff Purvis.
Jeff Purvis.
That's Neil Bonnet's car.
Plasticoat sponsored car.
Making its debut in Winston Cup competition. The team is Jeff's 2nd race in Winston Cup competition. About to catch up to Greg Sachs in the 18 car.
And Richard Petty. And right in front of it is Derek Cope, the winner of the race in June. So Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt sit in a blistering pace early on.
See how Elliott handles Greg Sachs and the others ahead.
Well, he's going to try to go under him. It looks like as he comes off of the turn. Ooh. And Earnhardt's going to try to go on the outside of Bill Elliott, following the Greg Sachs car up high. He hopes now that Greg will pull down low, and he's going to run Elliott in behind Jimmy Horton there, it looks like. Earnhardt will get the lead.
And that's how it's done in traffic. Earnhardt will now have to lead across the scoring line to be credited with the 5 points, and there it is. So Dale Earnhardt does pick up 5 bonus points for leading a lap, and he's now the leader of the race. So the 16-point, here comes Elliott, or rather, Elliott back. The 16-point lead is now reduced by 5.
To 11.
Thank you.
I knew you couldn't figure it out. And Ernie Irvin is closing up while they were dashing trying to get around Greg Sachs. Ernie Irvin's pulled up. Now, if he can get around Sachs, he'll be right on Elliott's bumper.
Richard Petty in the STP Pontiac going a lap down. Richard had a good qualifying run here. One of his better qualifying runs on the super speedway. Started in 16th position. But the car pace that they're setting up front there has put a lot of good cars a lap down early.
Jeff Bodine is running in 4th position in car number 11 as he puts a lap on Jeff Purvis. Jeff Bodine was the outside front row starter, started 2nd, now is running 4th.
Missed the pole position by 1/100th of a second.
And here's the green flag average, 139 miles an hour. Compare that to the pole speed of 144. So it is a torrid pace that is being set. There is Alan Kowicki, who is running in the 5th position, and back in 6th is Mark Martin.
I would think that Mark Martinet is exactly where he wants to be. There's not really a lot of traffic in front of him, not a lot of traffic behind him. He just has to run for 200 or 300 miles now.
Yeah, he's in a good, safe position there, running along where he is. He knows that he doesn't have quite enough speed now, even if he pushes the car to the limit, to get up there and take the lead and get those 5 bonus points. So there's no point in taking any chances, and hope that that'll come a little bit later.
Next in the scoring serial in 7th position is Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Buick car number 26. And we have an in-car camera with Brett.
That's Jimmy Horton directly in front of Brett Bodine, and they're behind him.
Harry Gant.
Dale Jarrett on the inside.
And Davey Allison right behind Dale Jarrett. Those 3 cars, Brett had pulled away from them for a little while, but they now have run him down. So we could have a battle for the 7th position here before long. Brett Bodine running 7th, Gant 8th, Jarrett 9th, Davey Allison in 10th place.
And Kyle Petty is right, but we saw Kyle right at the top of the screen in the 11th spot. There's a shot from Kyle's car, looking at Davey Allison directly in front of him, the 10th place car.
And he is gaining on that group of cars, Benny. He was pretty far back when he got out of some traffic, so Kyle is on the move.
Well, I had stopped by the truck today, and Felix and the crew seemed to think that Kyle was going to run good today. I had to get a sandwich, you know.
Of course. Never miss a meal, right?
Never.
Bill Elliott now runs 2nd to Dale Earnhardt, who's the leader of the Peak 500 from Dover Downs. We'll be right back. On top of the Peak 500 here at Dover Downs International Speedway is Bill Elliott, as he has charged past Dale Earnhardt to retake the lead, and Elliott has a very strong race car today. Let's take a look at how he passed Bill Elliott and retook the advantage.
Bill Elliott passed Dale Earnhardt.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you said.
That's what I said.
Well, he just got down on the inside. His Tourist Ford working well down in the low groove. Earnhardt drifted up just a little bit, and Elliott just dove hard into the turn. Earnhardt tried to come back on the outside. That was turn 3 that he made the pass, but couldn't quite do it. So Bill Elliott backed up front.
Bob, I think you made a very correct statement. I think Bill Elliott does have a good race car today, and we saw a graphic earlier on. He's won a race for the past 7 years, but so far in 1990 hasn't won a race. And this is as good a chance as I've seen him have in the past 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, excepting at Michigan in June when he was leading with just less than 10 laps to go, or somewhere near the end of the race, and blew an engine. But he certainly is looking good. He likes this racetrack. Of course, he's a past winner here.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he has won 3 times on this racetrack, twice in the June race and once in the Peak 500 back in 1988. And there is Irvin, who continues to run third. And he's not letting Earnhardt and Bill Elliott get too far ahead. He's keeping him in sight. And back in 14th position, there is Dave Marcus on the left of your screen in the 71 machine, doing a fine job. The 30 car, of course, is Michael Waltrip. There is Ken Schrader and Sterling Marlin.
So Marcus running in the 14th position. He started 16th. No, he started 14th, so he's holding his own.
His sponsor, Mike Miller, is from Pennsylvania, not too far away. I'm sure that he has a lot of people here today rooting Dave on.
Yeah, he's the apple man. Brought all the team members a bushel of apples this week. He gave to every crew in the garage area.
Good apples, too, Bob.
Yeah, they are.
You might know I would know, right?
You had one with your sandwich, right?
Well, apples are good for you. Apple
That's
a day.
right. Keeps the whatever. Doctor
Away,
away.
yeah. Michael Waltrip trying to high groove there for a little bit.
Michael Waltrip in 15th position will tell you how he was a near hero in a softball game held last Thursday. We'll have more on that a little bit later in some video highlights of that softball game played in Reading, Pennsylvania between the NHRA drag racers and the Winston Cup guys. So stay tuned for that later. The 17 car of Darrell Waltrip is about to be lapped. He's running 23rd at the moment. Here comes Bill Elliott to try to put a lap on Darrell Waltrip. We'll lock down our camera here in the first turn and give you a field snapshot. Watch for your favorite car and driver as it comes across the line. We'll also time this lap, tell you how fast Bill Elliott is going.
Ooh, he almost got into Darrell Waltrip coming off of turn 2 as we watch these other cars come around the track.
There's Marcus and Waltrip and Marlin. And now look at this. Earnhardt charges back again on the low groove using slower traffic. Darrell Waltrip to his advantage as they cross the starting line. They're dead even at a 27.1 second lap for the leader. And by golly, Earnhardt now has the lead. And look at Ernie Irvan on the low side of Elliott.
Wow, I didn't think Bill realized Ernie was there and might turn into him. But fortunately, they were able to get through the corner.
Now that lap was much slower, fellas, than what they were running, and it was slow because Bill Elliott tapped Darrell Waltrip coming off of turn 2 and had to back off. That allowed Dale Earnhardt to move up on the inside. We'll show you that. Here is Elliott going in to put a lap on him, and see Darrell moves up on the outside of another car to put a lap on him, and Bill just runs up there a little quicker. See, he put a little tap on him, and Bill had to back off, and see Earnhardt coming up there in a hurry. He didn't have to back off, so he just kept his foot to the floor and ran on the inside of Elliott and made the pass.
The white 09 car that they went around was Jerry Huffman from Atlanta, Georgia, who began this race from 40th position.
In his first Winston Cup race ever.
So it's now Earnhardt back on top. Bill Elliott running in second position as we ride with the third place driver of Ernie Irvan in the Peak Performance Race Cam. 65 laps are in the books. No caution so far. It's been all green in the Peak Antifreeze 500. There are the top 3 here at Dover, and here is a great battle for 5th position. It is Alan Kowicki and Mark Martin going at it, and Mark has been running back there now for several laps and apparently has decided it's time to try and make a bid for that 5th spot.
Got the car a little bit loose coming off turn 4 that time, so he doesn't want that to happen. Kowicki goes by Jimmy Horton. Now Martin follows him. That's Derek Cope directly in front of him. About to go a lap down to these cars.
The 54 machine, the white one on the bottom of your screen, is Tommy Riggins, Jacksonville, Florida. Now Kowicki will look to the inside of Derek Cope coming off the second turn. So there is 5th and 6th position. That battle has settled down a little bit now as Mark has dropped behind Alan Kowicki. And we'll show you how much racetrack there is between that position and the first three. And there they are, at least the first two, Earnhardt and Bill Elliott, with Ernie Irvin not too far behind. There in third position, the yellow car. So it's about a half a racetrack that separates first from sixth position in the average speed so far under all green racing, 138.4.
And I would say that Jack Roush is probably telling there's Kyle Petty. Ooh, they're trying to go three abreast around Greg Sachs. There's Ricky Rudd going by Harry Gant and just drives by Harry.
Yeah, Harry has lost several positions in the last 4 or 5 laps. He was running in the 8th position. Dale Jarrett went around him. Rusty Wallace went around him. Now Kyle Petty and Ricky Rudd.
But I would say that Jack Roush is probably on the radio telling Mark Martin, speed up just a little bit, because we're falling a little bit further back than we want to. If they would, say, have a bad pit stop and lose 3 or 4 seconds, they could be lapped before 150 laps. They don't want that to happen.
And now passing Greg Sachs.
Well, they'll have pit stops coming up in about 10 to 15 laps if this thing continues to go green.
A couple of cars have dropped out and gone behind the wall. J.D. McDuffie, car 70, and Jerry Hufflin in the 09 car. We saw some smoke coming from that car, and it has now gone behind the wall. There's the 5 car, Ricky Rudd. And ahead is Kyle Petty, car number 42. Looking back now on Ricky. And conversation between Kyle and Gary Nelson as crew chief. Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett are side by side. This is for 8th position.
For 7th position. I beg your pardon, it is for 8th position. You're right. First time, Bob. Now Rusty moves into 8th. He had dropped back there, but the car seems to be working better for him now. Maybe it just found the groove that Miller Pontiac runs in. And so he has picked off a lot of cars. He had dropped back to about 15th or 16th place.
Dale Jarrett and the Wood Brothers car. They are the winningest car owners here at Dover, having registered 7 victories. Up front, there is Alan Kowicki and...
Well, Brent Bodine about to take away the 6th position from Alan Kowicki.
So Martin has been able to get by Kowicki and drive away by about a half straightaway. So Kowicki's car losing a little bit of its handle here after about 80 miles.
Allen takes to the high side of Brett Bodine. Here they come off the 4th corner.
And Rusty Wallace is right there now, too, in that battle.
So Brett Bodine now has moved to 6th position and is pulling away.
Yeah, Kowicki's car is going downhill fast. Jimmy Spencer goes by. Our 3rd place car is in the pits. Jerry Punch is there.
And we'll go to work on the Kodak film Chevrolet as Ernie Irvin brings the car in and will change right side tires. They're actually in about 6 or 7 laps early from what most believers will be pitting, but they don't want to take any chances on fuel mileage here in Dover, Delaware. Change the right side tires. Again, it is extremely difficult for them to be able to communicate that here. As you can tell, the noise is overbearing for you to be able to hear. But plus the crew members and driver trying to communicate here on pit road. Ernie Irvin's left side tires down 24.4 seconds to get down and away.
Not a bad pit stop for 4 tires, because that will put it at least a lap down. Of course, others will have pit stops coming up pretty shortly as well.
So Ernie Irvin among the first to make a pit stop.
Terry Labonte in the pits now, so is Rob Moroso. So others now coming into the pits. And Darrell Waltrip coming in.
There's Rob Moroso, the crew working on changing the tires on the right side of that car and putting the fuel in it.
Sterling Marlin coming down pit road. You see him just going by Rob Moroso.
2-tire change for Rob Moroso. There he goes. Sterling Marlin is in the Sunoco Oldsmobile. 17 car of Waltrip, the 1 car of Labonte, both pulling out of the pits right now as the 8 car of Bobby Hillen comes in. There he is at the top of your screen. Billy Hagan crew getting the work done on Sterling Marlin, and he goes back into the pits. The 28 car of Davey Allison is coming in. He was running 15th, but comes in for his first scheduled pit stop of the day.
Davey had got up to ninth position, but the car started going away on him. It looked like it got loose, so he dropped back. Now get some fresh rubber, at least on the right side. That should help the feel of it.
Davey Allison is down and away. The 5 car of Ricky Rudd now makes a scheduled pit stop. Making a chassis adjustment on the left rear of the car. Tires going on the right side. The Earnhardt car is scheduled to make a pit stop next time around.
Just right sides on the Rudd car, so a different strategy for Ricky Rudd and Waddell Wilson.
Let's watch Dale Earnhardt if he slows here in turn 4. Yes, indeed, he drops to the low side of the racetrack as Rusty Wallace comes in. Dale Earnhardt on his way to pit road, and here's Jerry Punch.
We would expect to see Earnhardt change all 4 tires. They are changing right side tires on Rusty Wallace's car, but Earnhardt brings the Goodwin Chevrolet to a stop. They have cleaned the windshield. They will change right side tires, and apparently they will not change left side tires. They're just looking at the left side tires, so a little bit of a departure from what the normal routine would be. Earnhardt, right side's only 12.7 seconds. He is down and away. Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace has gotten all 4 tires changed on his Miller Pontiac. Let's go up to John Kernan.
Brothers crew goes to work on the Citgo Ford. It's a right side tire change only. Last drop of fuel goes in, and he's blocked in just a moment by Dick Trickle, who's pulling into his pit.
So some take on 2, some take on 4. Ernie Irvin took on 4. Rusty Wallace took on 4 tires, but Dale Earnhardt chose only 2 as Alan Kowicki now comes in along with Brett Bodine.
And Bill Elliott, the leader, now coming into the pit, and the Coors Ford, and Jerry Punch is there.
Bill Elliott awaiting the sideboard there from his brother Ernie. He will bring the Coors Ford to a halt. And they will change 2 tires on the right side. Thus far, we do not see anyone working on the left, so they have seen what Earnhardt has done. And apparently that will force their hand to change 2 tires also. Right side tires are going on the car. 13.5 seconds, he is down and away.
So we saw Brett Bodine drive by as he left the pits.
Morgan Shepherd is coming out. Mark Martin scheduled. Yeah, here he comes. Mark Martin coming in. Let's see if he takes on 2 or 4. We think it's going to be a 2-tire change for Mark. Jerry, can you see him?
Yes, Mark Martin pitting up pit road a few feet. We are changing right side tires there on that Moser Ford. Robin Pemberton and the crew have put right side tires on. No work on all the left side. Gas in the car. They're waiting to get the car full of fuel. Waiting. Now he's away. 14.1 seconds, and Martin has to wait. Budweiser car of Jeff Bodine has come down pit road. Bodine's crew now going to work on the right side of his car. Pete Wright, the crew. They are putting fuel in the car. Right side tires on. The car is being fueled. It is away.
Jeff Bodine roaring back into action. So now just about everybody has come in for a scheduled pit stop.
Excepting Harry Gant, and here he comes.
Here he comes. Harry Gant was a leader of the race, but now he relinquishes that to come in for his first scheduled service. He brings the Skoll Oldsmobile to a stop. Crew going to work on the right side, quickly getting those tires off. Clock ticking away. It's going to be a 2-tire change. Looks like a good stop for Harry Gant. 13 seconds elapses, 14.1, and the jack goes down, and Harry Gant is back on the racetrack. We believe the leader to be Dale Earnhardt, car number 3. Earnhardt is the leader.
He was the leader before they started these pit stops, and he made a very good pit stop. So he's back out front again.
There he is, Dale Earnhardt, now at the 92 lap mark with the first scheduled pit stops having taken place. Earnhardt is your leader. To be the action for you on this Sunday afternoon from the racetrack as Dale Earnhardt, and car number 3 is now the leader of this race, nearing the 100 lap mark. Running in second spot is Bill Elliott, third Alan Kowicki, fourth position
Kawicki just blew up or something, or lost a cylinder or something down the back straight. We'll check on that in a moment. I'm sorry, Bob.
I believe that Rusty Wallace is in fourth. We're checking the scoring after those green flag pit stops, but there is no question that Earnhardt is the leader. Oh, he slipped a little bit there in the second corner. Now there's Brett Bodine right behind Dale Earnhardt, and we presume that Brett is a lap down.
I believe he is. I believe that they probably changed 4 tires on that Quaker State Buick, and that's one reason he's able to run Earnhardt down. He is gaining on Dale Earnhardt.
Earnhardt had a fast 2 tire change.
And Brett Bodine had a fast 4 tire change, but it did go a lap down. Earnhardt looking for his 3rd win here at Dover. He won both races last year. There's the second place car of Bill Elliott. So Dale has about a straightaway advantage on Bill.
And both those cars did change 2 tires.
Earnhardt now completing 101 laps. Let's take a look at some Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance reports. We're comparing Elliott, number 9, 11, Jeff Bodine, Earnhardt in 3, and Irvin in number 4. And you can see that Irvin made a 4-tire change, thus the 27 seconds on the crew. Look at the driver time, though. The 9 car of Bill Elliott had the best, and as far as the crew is concerned, the 11 car had the quickest pit stop.
What happened? The 9 and the 4 was able to come down pit road without too much traffic. The 3 and the 11 had traffic as they came down pit road, was not able to go down pit road at full steam, so therefore the difference in driver reaction time.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons.
You're
good
quite
explanation.
He's been there, he knows.
As a matter of fact, I saw Earnhardt going down pit road, and Greg Sachs finished his pit stop and pulled out right in front of Dale. That's why he had to slow down.
Now Earnhardt putting a lap on Ken Schrader in car number 25.
Oh, there's some smoke up right in front of Earnhardt.
That's Jimmy Spencer. A lot of smoke coming out of the Heinz 57 Pontiac. I don't know if it was tire smoke or what.
Boy, that scares a driver to death when you look up and see smoke.
There is Jimmy Spencer still showing some smoke. John, what's the problem?
Well, Bob, Jimmy and Dale Jarrett coming down the front stretch, John, about 2 laps ago, got together, and as I saw Jimmy come off of turn 4, I saw the smoke off the left rear tire. What it looks like to me is that a little bit of the sheet metal has been, the fender has been bent down, so it is touching the tire when it goes into the turns.
There is some smoke coming, it looks like, from the left rear of the car.
He's getting the black flag because of that smoke. And he certainly doesn't want to stay out there and run too long if the sheet metal is rubbing the tire. It looks like he's slowing down to come into the pits now, because if a tire goes here on this racetrack, it can be devastating.
Here's Spencer coming into the pits. Going to have this problem on the rear of the car looked at.
This is hammer time. We also see him back on the left rear of the car with the chassis adjustment. Taking a little wedge out.
There is Earnhardt. Man, that car is flying, isn't it? Here he passes Michael Waltrip. You mentioned, Benny, that the 7 car of Alan Kawicki began to slow down. Jerry, what's the story with that situation?
Well, Kawicki has lost at least 1 cylinder in the Xerox Ford, and apparently the car is getting worse. The car really sputtering now as he came by us the last couple of laps. Paul Andrews and the crew really are helpless here. They just can't figure out the kind of luck they have here at Dover, Delaware. The car running so well early on, but now they are down on 7 cylinders. And the 7th thing, it could be closer to 6 the next few laps.
Alan Kawicki in his 11th start here at Dover finished 14th in the race in early June. He's struggling right now with this engine that isn't quite up to song. It is Dale Earnhardt of the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet that leads this event at the end of 108 laps here at Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware.
Something in an air freshener.
The 1990 version of the Peak Antifreeze 500. We'll take another break and be right back. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch back at Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware for the Peak Antifreeze 500. And Dale Earnhardt in the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet number 3 leads this race. And with 119 laps to go, there are only 8 cars on the lead lap, and Earnhardt is making a shambles of this thing right now.
Oh, he is. We predicted that he would go to the front and try to lead as many laps as possible, and he's making our prediction come true.
We're looking for the second place car. There he is, Bill Elliott, running second, but now he's got quite a deficit to make up. To catch back up with Dale Earnhardt. Elliott, the pole sitter of this race, eligible for $15,200 in Unocal bonus money.
He's running about 4.5 seconds behind Dale Earnhardt at this time.
We're looking for the 11 car, which is the third place machine. There it is, Jeff Bodine in the Junior Johnson Budweiser Ford.
And he's about 4.5 seconds behind Bill Elliott.
Jeff Bodine running in third. In fourth position is the number 4 car, the yellow machine, driven by Ernie Irvan.
And remember, when we watched his pit stop, he was the only car to change 4 tires on his pit stop, so that might play to his advantage later on.
Yeah, if they go green until the next pit stop, then he would probably only need to take on right side tires, and everybody else would need to take on forward.
Ernie carrying one of our peak performance race cans. That's Jeff Purvis in the 51 car. Neil Bonnet, the owner of this machine, looking for 4 races in 1990 and more in 1991. Purvis, of course, a dirt track specialist, but making his way into Winston Cup competition now.
He might need some of that experience later on here at Dover.
Yeah, because they do a little slipping and sliding here. Some already are.
Ernie Irvan runs in 4th position. Back in 5th is the number 6 car of Mark Martin, the current points leader in Winston Cup.
There he goes.
Yeah, and he's no more than 1/4 of a lap in front of Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt's about 3/4 of a lap ahead of Mark Martin.
And that's something that the Jack Roush team does not want to do, is get a lap down.
Well, you said you can say that again.
Back to the 42 car of Kyle Petty. That's the 6th place machine. He passes Jimmy Means in the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac on the outside, heading into turn 1.
You can see Mark Martin up in front of him, and there's Ricky Rudd then right behind the Kyle Petty. As we look out the windshield of the Kyle Petty car, there's Rudd in the yellow and white car. He is running in the 7th position. So Earnhardt is not too far behind those cars to put a lap on.
And there's Harry again, the last car. Well, we just saw him for a moment.
Yep, there he is.
There he is behind Jimmy Means, the Skull Bandit Harry again, the last car on the lead lap. And as Ned said, he's only about 100 yards in front of Dale Earnhardt. So go, Harry.
Yeah, just about a good pitching wedge for you, Benny. Take me a 9-iron.
Jerry, what strategy is as far as pit stops are concerned at this point?
Remember last year when Dale Earnhardt won both of these races, he was able to build up the size of a lead under the green flag. Then he was able to take his time and change all 4 tires under the green, which forced everyone else's hand and made them change 4 tires as well. That's why they only changed 2 tires on that first yellow flag pit stop. They wanted to get back out front, run as hard as they possibly could, build up that sizable lead under the green. The next pit stop they make instead of the green, they'll change 4 tires. That will force everyone else on the lead lap to do likewise, or else they'll get lapped in the pits or get lapped on the racetrack.
I guess when you guys are driving, you did employ this pit strategy that Jerry just talked about, but did you take that much time to think about it as these guys do?
I think they take more time, and there's more strategy involved now than there was back then. However, when I was driving race cars, there was a lot of strategy involved. You figured gas mileage, and we didn't have to change as many tires when I was driving, Bob, as they do now. In fact, many times we'd run a 500-mile race on St. Darlington and only change the right side tires maybe twice and the left side tires once, because we're running very hard rubber compound. but now they change, well, we see them change at least every 100 miles.
The number 21 car, Dale Jarrett, currently being shown in the 9th position. We're looking at the back of the car to see if we can see something that has been reportedly coming out of the cars. There's just a little bit of something coming out of the back.
I would say the car is overheating. Most of the cars, the radiator overflow, a plastic tube goes all the way the length of the car and comes out the right rear. The reason they don't want to dump that water under the wheels of the race car, they want to dump it on the racetrack and let some other car get in it rather than them get in it. And John Kernan is down with Leonard Wood. What does Leonard say, John?
Well, Benny, let's find out. Leonard, what's the problem with the car?
Well, we asked him if it was overheating, and he said it wasn't, so I don't know what it is.
But the report that something might be coming out of the back of it. You have no idea what it could be.
Well, it could push a little water out and then eventually quit.
They don't seem to be too worried down here, though, in the Wood Brothers pit. Right now, they're just going to wait and see, take a wait-and-see attitude.
One thing about it, it will quit. It'll either run out of water or it'll stop doing it.
When it runs out of water, it'll probably quit.
That's right.
132 laps completed, and now we see Harry Gant about to go a lap down. Harry Gant in 8th position. The leader is Dale Earnhardt in the Peak Performance 500 at Dover. Dover Downs in Delaware for the Peak Performance. Oh, and Ernie Irvan has crashed in turn 2. Ernie Irvan into the wall in turn number 2, bringing out our first caution of the afternoon. He got in pretty hard coming off of the second corner.
And watch all these guys try to race Earnhardt back to the line to keep that lap as Ernie Irvan still has the car.
And he's trying, and Earnhardt's going to try to get up there and pass Mark Martin and put a lap on him. Kyle Petty is trying to get a lap back. And Ricky Rudd down on the inside trying to stay in the lead lap.
And Martin is going to stay in the lead lap. He just made it across the line ahead of Earnhardt.
Wow, that could be a championship.
Well, there's the live in-car camera being carried by Ernie Irvan. Here is a replay of what happened between turns 1 and 2.
Looks like Ernie goes in the corner, gets the car loose going in, and just never able to get it back. The car spins, and he comes up the racetrack and hits it with the left front. And then the rear goes into it, but the front was where he sustained most of the damage.
And that'll be damage, Benny, that might, it'll certainly slow him down. I'm sure they'll work on that Kodak film Oldsmobile, or Chevrolet it is now, and try to get him back out there, but he will not be competitive the rest of the day.
You know, that right rear tire is, I don't know, we might have to, it looks like it's flat.
Yep.
We won't speculate that what happened. We'll maybe get a word with him later.
Irvan limping into the pit area right now as the field is under caution for the first time.
Of course, the pits are still closed. The pace car has not picked Dale Earnhardt up yet, and so that's why the pits are still closed. And it might be a good thing because Ernie Irvan's got a portion of it blocked. I don't believe he's going to be able to get down to his pits.
And it looks like the Derek Cope crew is coming out to help push Ernie Irvan down pit road as the pace car now has picked up the field.
Yeah, they're helping him push him down pit road as soon as he get out of the way of their pits. And they're going to let him go and let somebody else get him out of the way of their pits until he gets down to his pit.
Yep, he's going to be in the way of somebody, no question about it.
Irvan, there you can see the pit crew standing by waiting for their driver to come in.
And there we see Ernie's crew running down to try to get the car. The Sitco crew, the Wood brothers, went down and tried to push him out of their way.
Everybody wants to get rid of Ernie, right?
Yeah, right.
Get out of my way. Well, he's
they did not open
far.
pit road. That was a good idea that NASCAR. They did not open pit road.
So it will be open next time because of Ernie Irvan going slowly down pit road. The pits remain closed. Pit road here at Dover as the teams come in, the cars come in and have their crews work on them. Dale Earnhardt has been in and out. There you can see Bill Elliott pulling out of the pits. Here comes Jeff Bodine in the Budweiser car ahead of Michael Waltrip. Rusty Wallace remaining on pit road. Now he gets the tires changed and the car full of fuel and he pulls back out. But a lot of activity here under our first caution of the afternoon caused by a crash over in turn 2 involving Ernie Irvan.
And Ernie has pulled the car behind pit wall. They're working on the car, trying to get some of the damage repaired. There we see the 21 car right in the middle of the pit. You see the water right in the middle of the pit there. We're zooming in on it. the water was still steaming out of the rear of that car. So if that's coming out of the radiator, that car can't last long.
No, can't.
It's back in, and they're going to raise the hood and try to put some water in. John Kernan, are they going to put water in it?
Well, Benny, you can see Leonard Wood is holding it down, pressing it down into the nozzle. He's definitely putting some water back in the radiator. And Dale just saying here, it's a good thing they had this caution. This could be a lifesaver for this motor. Now enough water is in, they'll put the hood down. They got to get the pins back in. As you see Andy Wood and Leonard Wood go to work, along with another crew, but they get the pins back in the hood, and Dale is away.
We are under caution because of this crash involving Ernie Irvan. And here's a replay of it. He's the yellow car coming around the first turn.
Goes in the corner, and all of a sudden, the car just goes into a slow spin, comes to the corner. Remember, he was doing about 135 when this started. He's probably down to 80 or 90 miles an hour, but still, that's pretty hard.
Now the real-time in-car camera shot from Ernie.
Turn one, down in the corner. Listen.
I believe he cut a tire down.
Just as he got back on the accelerator, the rear end got out from under him. Could have been caused by a cut tire in any case. The Kodak Chevrolet is behind the wall. They're trying to fix it and get Ernie back out in competition. Come out restarting the peak Antifreeze 500 after a crash involving Ernie Irvan. The lead continues to be held by Dale Earnhardt. There are only 5 cars on the lead lap. Bill Elliott is in second position in number 9. Then comes Jeff Bodine, Mark Martin, and Ricky Rudd. Let's take a look at some Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance reports. First, Dale Earnhardt, driver 14.7 to get in and out. Took the crew 21 seconds to do the service on the GM Goodwin Chevrolet. Whoa, a total of 35.7 seconds as Earnhardt almost lost it there in turn number 1. Now, compare that to Bill Elliott with 18.6 on the driver, 22.4 on the crew, a total of 41 seconds.
The difference, Dale Earnhardt was able to go down pit road with no traffic in his way, and Bill Elliott had to wind his way through cars to get to his pit. A difference of 4 seconds. And remember, Earnhardt's pit stop the last time was about 16.5 seconds. He was able to do it 2 seconds faster because of lack of traffic on pit road.
They come out first and second on the track, and here comes Mark Martin up to battle with Jeff Bodine for the 3rd position. Now the 42 car Kyle Petty is a lap down. He is in 6th position.
He just had gone a lap down before the caution came out. In fact, the caution was a blessing for Mark Martin because he was not too far from being put a lap down by Dale Earnhardt.
Kyle tried to get the lap back, but couldn't in the race for the caution flag, I should say. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Ernie Irvan.
Ernie's still sitting inside the Kodak Chevrolet. It's pretty heavily used up. Ernie, what happened up there?
Well, you know, we had this Kodak film Duckler in the Chevrolet running off a good today. I got up a little high in turn 1, and with the tar, they got the tar running down into the cracks, and it just broke loose with me, and I spun and hit the outside wall.
Heavy damage, and he said, in case you couldn't hear him very well with the noise, there's tire strips up coming down across the asphalt. Big segments of tar where it's been sealed up there. He got up in that tar and the car got loose, so they're going to try to get it fixed and get it back out.
Okay, I'll give credit where credit is due.
But now remember, folks, it's T-A-R, not T-I-R-E,
Exactly.
T-A-R.
But Benny Parsons said during our commercial break that he thought that Ernie Irvan got up too high on the racetrack, got in that tar, the slick part of the racetrack, and lost it, and all be done.
He was right.
Called another one.
And I thought he cut a tire down, and Benny was right. Good race here for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th position.
Mark Martin has gone into 3rd, Jeff Bodine back to 4th, and 5th is the number 5 yellow and white Levi Garrett Chevrolet, driven by Ricky Rudd. And here's a battle for the lead as Bill Elliott is about to pass. Yes, he does. He passes Dale Earnhardt and goes into the lead.
Boy, he slid up in front of him. Earnhardt had to get on the binders there, the brakes, to keep from running over Elliott.
Yeah, because Bill Elliott drove in the corner so hard he got up in the rear end, wiggle a little bit, and right up in front of Earnhardt. But you're right, Earnhardt hit the brakes, was not able to keep the car from running in the back of the Coors Ford.
You know, we talk about the Winston Cup points battle and how it's for the lead between Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt, but Bill Elliott has a lot going for him, too, because he's only 31 points out of 4th position in the point standings, and that's a difference of several $1,000s. So Bill Elliott not only would like to win just to get his name in the record book for 1990, but pick up those valuable points. Dale Earnhardt, we saw some smoke coming from the rear end of the race car. Apparently tire smoke as he was in turn 2.
That car is not handling the way it was before. Apparently the set of tires he has on it now are mismatched a little bit. And about to be trouble up in turn 4, but they got squared away. But the car is not handling the way it was. He was able to keep it low on the racetrack when he wanted to a little bit earlier when he was in traffic, but now the car just drifting up in the turn 4.
This is not the radial tire. This is the regular tire, racing tire they've been using for years and years. The one they call the bias ply tire this weekend.
Back here is Bodine and Rudd going at it. That's for 4th place.
We see Harry Gant right behind Ricky Rudd. Harry a lap down. The other green car is the 26th of Brett Bodine. He also is a lap down, but these two guys aren't. They're racing for 4th spot. The red 11, Jeff Bodine has it. The yellow and white 5, Ricky Rudd wants it. And that's what we call a race.
That is indeed a good race. Rudd looking to the outside of Bodine. There you can see that there are just 5 cars on the lead lap at 157 laps.
If we can get the camera just to follow these cars around one other lap, follow Jeff Bodine and Ricky Rudd. When you go down in turn 1, you'll see looks like spider webs up in the top of the corner. There, Jeff goes down the corner, Ricky Rudd. Now just above, we see it looks like spider webs across the top. That's what Ernie Irvin was talking about. That's tar that they put in cracks to try to seal those cracks, and it is extremely slicky.
Now Harry Gant passes Ricky Rudd.
And is running in the 7th position. He is a lap down. Trying to get up there to lead Bill before he can get back in the lead lap, and he's got a ways to go before he can do that.
It was a pretty assertive mood. He just drove to the inside of Rudd and went right around him.
Rudd's trying to assert himself back by Harry Gant.
Riding inside the Quaker State Buick driven by Brett Bodine. He's running an 8th spot, also a lap down.
If you're in the military and watch this on tape and haven't seen a race for a while, the 5 car will be the Tide Chevrolet next year.
Yes, sir.
I guess all the race fans know that.
Back up front, meanwhile, it is Bill Elliott now showing the way over Dale Earnhardt. Let's get down to Jerry Punch for a report in the Earnhardt pit.
I was talking to Richard Childers just a minute ago, and he says that Dale said that when he went into turn 1, the car just slid out from underneath him about once or twice. It was over a couple of laps. That's why Elliott went around him. So Earnhardt is backed off so they can figure out what the problem may be. A couple of drivers, including Earnhardt, reported that possibly the car number 2, that is a car owned by D.K. Ulrich and driven by Jim Sauter, may be losing some grease out of the rear of the car. So NASCAR and other people are watching that car number 2. The rear back of that car is darkened. Watching for possibly some oil or grease coming out of that car. But Earnhardt's going to have to back off so they get that car dialed back in.
All right, he's backed off several car lengths now as there is the interval between 1st and 2nd, Elliott and Dale Earnhardt. And the car right behind Earnhardt is Kyle Petty, who's in 6th position. We'll be right back after this. And it's Earnhardt catching back up with Bill Elliott.
Earnhardt was back 10-15 car lengths, and now we can see just 1 or 2 car lengths separating he and Bill Elliott. And I would say that his chassis just wasn't right to begin with, but the racetrack is coming to his chassis setup.
There you see cars that have dropped out of the race, but Tubby Potter and Tommy Riggins. Ernie Irvin is behind the wall. They're still trying to get that car fixed and back out there after Ernie visited the concrete wall in turn 2.
Well, Ernie Irvin is up 10th, 11th, 12th, somewhere in the Winston Cup point standings. He's in, what is it, 9th?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So They want to get every point they possibly can. They'll get the car fixed as quick as they can. He'll go out and run as fast as the car will let him run.
25 is Ken Schrader. The 28 is Davey Allison. And leading this trio down the backstretch, the 75 car, Rick Wilson.
Now Wilson is 2 laps down, I believe. Schrader is running in the 14th position. Davey Allison running 15th.
The food line's trying to come off the hood of Rick Wilson's car. That's the tape that you see blowing the decal.
Yep, they're on the right front corner of the car. Some tape blowing around. Schrader all over him now, looking to the inside in turn 1, trying to get around Rick Wilson. Pulls alongside of him in the second turn. And Rick now powers him down the backstretch. There's Ken Schrader running in 14th position. Right behind him in 15th is Davey.
Looks like a raccoon, a bandit or something.
Who does?
Maybe with his hat pulled down and shaded in his eyes.
I'll tell him you said so.
Now Davey's going to try Schrader on the outside, but he says, no, maybe that's not the thing to do. He'll get a run and start trying to do on the inside. But that won't work either.
As wide as this racetrack is, you would think that there's no problem, just drive around the other car, but the groove or preferred place around the racetrack is just simply faster than anywhere else.
There's Morgan Shepherd in car number 15. He's now in the 14th position.
Well, we had Schrader and Davey up 1 position too far, I think, because they are the next cars behind Morgan Shepherd in the Motorcraft Ford.
Going through this race in June, Morgan Shepherd had been in the top 10 every single race. He was 6th here in early June, and then the streak broke. And Jeff Bodine is smoking badly and headed toward the apron of the racetrack. Our 4th place car is in trouble. Jeff Bodine.
Looks terminal, too. Looks like a serious engine problem.
Yellow is out. Second yellow flag of the day is out. The leader did not take the caution, and so the race to the start-finish line will continue.
Kyle Petty right behind Bill Elliott, trying to get in front of him so he could get a complete lap back. But Elliott knows that, and he races Kyle Petty back to the line and beats him.
Now there's Elliott taking the checker. Why do I keep saying checker flag? The caution flag as the pace car comes out. Wishful thinking. There is Bodine, who has pulled behind the wall down toward turn number 1.
That's actually even inside the garage area.
The NASCAR track crew will come out and check the racing surface for any oil or other moisture that might have been laid down by Jeff Bodine.
And meanwhile, the pits will probably open this time, and they'll hit pit road, about 40 of them all at one time.
Another busy pit stop segment coming up.
Pit road is open now. The green flag wavy. You can see that guy just beyond the unical. There he is. You can see him a little closer.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's in Bill Elliott's pit. Here he comes, Jerry.
Well, they'll definitely be able to watch each other pit here as Elliott and Earnhardt both pitting about 15 feet apart. Elliott brings the Coors Ford to a halt, and as we would expect, they would change right side and left side tires. Earnhardt on the bottom of your screen, the Goodrich crew now working on that car, changing right side tires. Likewise on the upper part of your screen, here comes Tommy Cole with a jack around to the left side of the Coors Belling Ford. Now Earnhardt's crew working on the left side of their car. It's a race in the pits, the Coors crew now having a little trouble with the left rear tire. They finally have it on. Elliott is down and away. Earnhardt out of the way. Elliott will leave Earnhardt and Mark Martin down pit road.
Elliott, Earnhardt, and Martin, it seemed, went down off the jack at exactly the same time and charged out of the pits, but they'll come out in that order: Elliott, Earnhardt, and Mark Martin. The yellow remains out here at Dover for the second time this afternoon in the Peak Antifreeze 500. We'll be right back. At Dover because of what appeared to be a blown engine on the number 11 car of Jeff Bodine. A lot of smoke coming from that car, and so the yellow flag was thrown to go out and check the track. Let's go to Jerry for the real reason that put Jeff Bodine out of the race.
Well, indeed, Bob, he's a former winner here, but it will not happen today. Jeff, tough break for you in the Budweiser Ford. What happened?
Blew up. Yeah, we're running awful good. Finally figured out how to get around this place with the chassis and driving. Just cruising, you know, just had on cruise control, and our cameraman broke down here. I don't know if Brian, but well, just say hi to Kathy. I'm okay. And the engine just blew up. They're cleaning up the mess right here. It put a hole in the oil pan or block, so you know there's just no way we can fix that. We were naturally going to try to fix it, get out there and get as many points as we can, but oil and water's running out, so it's kind of hard to plug those big holes up. But the Budweiser Thunderbird was really cooking. Boy, I felt good to be able to run good here with the front cars. We ran so bad the first time here, but I don't know how many points we're going to lose today. It's going to be a bunch. But we had a pretty good lead on Rusty, who's behind us in the points. We're going to lose a bunch on those first two guys, unfortunately, but there's still a lot of racing left, and you know, we haven't given up. I mean, this can happen to anybody, right? Even those two guys that are leading the points right now. So still a lot of races. We look forward to Martinsville next week. We won the first race there this year, so maybe we can make up some ground there. Well, I congratulate my brother Todd yesterday. Did you see that race, Jerry?
Great job, didn't he?
I hope everyone saw it because he'd never been here before, and he did a super job. Hopefully that'll get him in a seat of a Busch Grand National car for next season. Hi, everybody.
Jeff Bodine having a bad day. We're going back to green.
Indeed we are. The green about to come out as the crowd rises to its feet and cheers the field as it comes down to take the green flag once again. We go to green on lap 182, and Bill Elliott is the leader.
Kyle Petty on the inside trying desperately to get that lap back. Now here comes Earnhardt trying to get the lead. Kyle Petty got his job done. Can Earnhardt get his job done?
Well, let's see. Into turn 3, Earnhardt and Bill Elliott go side by side. Here they come in the fourth turn.
Now, Kyle Petty hopes they'll race side by side for a few laps and then hope a caution comes out. He now is in the lead lap. That makes 5 cars in the lead lap once again.
And there is Mark Martin right behind Dale Earnhardt.
And Bill Elliott pulls ahead of Dale Earnhardt. Not many times you see someone pass Dale Earnhardt, but Elliott did. Well, he stayed in front of him.
Now, here comes Elliott to put Kyle a lap down again. And looks like he's going to get the job done. Elliott passes Kyle Petty, puts him a lap down again. Now here comes Earnhardt to try to do the same.
And Martin receives a 6 car right behind Dale Earnhardt. Boy, does he sit in the catbird seat now.
Well, you know, Benny, you said at the top of the show he's got to keep him in sight. Well, he's got him in sight now.
He lost sight for a long time there.
He was about to see him in his rearview mirror before that caution came out. But now he's reprieved once again, right there.
Jeff Bodine was talking about his position in the point standings. He came in third position with just 168 ahead of Rusty Wallace.
Now he'll stay in third in the points, Bob. He was far enough ahead of Rusty Wallace. He's probably going to finish 36, depending on what Ernie Earnhardt does. He gets back out and maybe runs enough laps to get ahead of Bodine, but he should stay in third.
Maybe you fans think that we talk about the points too much, but you see when Jeff Bodine crawled out of his car, his first thought was the points.
Yep. $1 million to the champion. Second place gets $330,000. Third place $225,000. Fourth $160,000. Fifth $125,000, and it goes down through 20th position for $22,000. So there's a lot of money at stake in the battle for the Winston Cup. Well, last Thursday night, there was a special moment here in the eastern portion of the United States, up in Reading, Pennsylvania, where the NHRA drag racers are performing this weekend. It's not too far away from here, a nice couple or 3 hours drive. It was all for the benefit of Darrell Gwynn, who was paralyzed in that crash last Easter Sunday in England. All the benefits to him, and Darrell was there to throw out the first pitch to his father, Jerry. And then it was time for softball action.
Dan Pastorini lost one for the drag racers.
Now watch this catch. Cope, Irvin can't do it. Brett Bodine, an outstanding catch from third base. And then in the late innings, it was Michael Waltrip losing one over the left field fence in front of 15,000 people. A grand slam that gave the Winston Cup Stars the lead going into the bottom of the ninth inning. But in the bottom of the ninth inning, the NHRA guys came up and they wanted this win badly. As Michael Waltrip came around to get the congratulations of his...
Looked like a real baseball game, didn't it?
And there is the winning hit right there from Kenny Koretsky. He knocked in Kenny Bernstein for the win by the NHRA guys. Now, this plane carrying the banner has been circling Dover Downs International Speedway all day. And look what it says. The final score in the game, which was NHRA 21, NASCAR 20. There you can see the line score. NASCAR 20 runs, 24 hits and 4 errors. They out-hit the NHRA guys and had fewer errors. There you can see Ken Koretsky was got the game-winning RBI, but the most valuable player in the game was Brett Bodine. And here's one of the reasons why Brett was chosen as the MVP. Watch this pop up again.
Now this is Derek Cope, the catcher. Ernie Irvin is the pitcher. They all three go after the ball. Cope and Irvin collide under the ball. Boom, it pops out of Cope's mitt, and Brett Bodine dives and catches the ball.
Fast reaction and a great catch by Brett Bodine.
And Bob, they have raised over $180,000 so far, and that was announced in the drivers meeting this morning. And 24 Winston Cup drivers went over to participate in that game, and they're still counting. Money's still coming in. So it was a great night for the sport of auto racing and, of course, for Darrell Gwynn.
You know, and you said a special night, Bob. It was magic. It was absolutely one of the finest things I have ever seen in my life.
The crowd amounted to about 15,000 people in the 7,800-seat stadium. It was wonderful for Darrell Gwynn. Okay, we'll be back to bring you up to date on what's happening here at Dover Downs International Speedway in just a moment as Bill Elliott continues to lead Dale Earnhardt. While Elliott leads, the battle is for second position. Mark Martin pulls alongside of Dale Earnhardt, trying to take the second spot away. They're still dead even as they head down the backstretch and into 3. Earnhardt gets the advantage once again.
He didn't really get the advantage. Mark Martin said it's not time to race side by side. I mean, he honestly said that. It's not time to race side by side. We've only been a couple of hundred laps.
Yeah, if he could have done it easy, he pulled up beside of him. If he could have passed him easy, he would have gone ahead. And he's going to try it again. Say, well, maybe it won't be quite as hard as I thought it was there a moment ago. So he's going to try it one more time. But he's not going to take any unnecessary chances to get to second place. So that doesn't pay anything right now. No points involved at all at this stage of the game. Now, if that was for the lead, then yes, Mark Martin could get 5 bonus points. But for second, no, it doesn't mean that much.
And we see a little bit of smoke coming off the tires on Mark Martin's car. So
battle continues for second position. There's the leader, Elliott, and second and third. Mark seems to be able to, now Earnhardt a little squirrely there in the second corner. That allows Martin to at least pull alongside of him. Let's see what happens as they go to 3. Martin with just a half a car length advantage going into the corner, but Earnhardt battling back. Now Mark may have him as they come out of turn 4. They touch. But Mark makes the pass and takes second. Earnhardt charges back on the outside, but no. Mark holds second for the moment.
Man. Earnhardt was just trying to give Mark Martin a message that nothing's going to be easy the rest of the year, big boy.
Now he lengthens the advantage just a little bit. Let's take a look at what happened last lap as they came out of 4.
Mark Martin tries to come up the hill and get in front, and you saw the smoke when they made contact, and you see both cars wiggle.
Mark must have known that he had the better bite down there and maybe the better car, and he wouldn't have taken the chance. But he saw the opportunity and knew he could do it, so he did.
Yeah, he knows he has a faster car right now, and so it wasn't easy, as we said, if he could pass him easy, but he's around him now and pulling up.
Now he's a little bit sideways going through the second corner. But in any case, it's a totally different strategy than perhaps Mark Martin has ever had in his lifetime, because he wants to win the Winston Cup. So we ask him, are you being conservative now, or are you just trying to race smart?
Well, people who say I'm conservative can't see past the end of their nose. You know, anybody who watched the race at Richmond should know that we're not stroking. There were some comments made at Darlington. Well, Mark just pulled over and waved some guys by. Well, people just don't realize that I was almost crashing every inch of 500 miles. That they cannot conceive how treacherous it was to drive that car 500 miles out of control on those radial tires. My car didn't handle very good there. And we did a great job to run 6. The reason we finished 6 is because we raced so smart and because we didn't give anyone a chance to crash us.
And so, when we see that happen in the future, we'll know that Mark Martin really isn't stroking. He's out there doing as good as he can, and sometimes the car just doesn't run very good.
And that's exactly right. At this point, he can't take the car past its limits. He has to stay within the car, the confines of how well the car's running. That's how Mark Martin's got to race. And right now, he has a pretty good race car, so he is able to take a chance to get him by Dale Earnhardt. At Darlington, he couldn't take that chance because his race car was just not that good.
There's the leader, Bill Elliott.
Fellas, we should establish the fact that Ernie Irvan has gone back in the race. He has been running slow out there. He just made a pit stop again, came in, but he has been out there getting a few laps.
And there's our in-car camera being carried by Ernie Irvan. He's very slow on the racetrack down on the inside. Not competitive. The hood is missing from the front of that car, who was knocked off in the crash that he had in turn 2 a few laps ago. But nevertheless, Irvan is out there completing as many laps as he possibly can.
Tell you what, those cameras take a licking and keep on ticking, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Man.
Well, just 4 cars in the lead lap. Of course, they're Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, and Ricky Rose.
There's the beautiful aerodynamic Chevrolet Lumina driven by Ernie Irvan.
A box is more aerodynamic than that car.
Is that an open wheel car or a closed wheel car?
We're looking at Greg Sachs, the ultra slim fast Chevrolet up in front of Ernie.
Running in 5th place is Kyle Petty in the Peak Antifreeze Pontiac. Lap down. Peg at 6.
How did Greg Sachs in the 2 car? Whoops. Jim Sauter.
A lot of smoke coming from that car. There was mention earlier in the broadcast about some possible grease dripping from that car. You can see a little bit of black on the back bumper. But now, Jim Sauter pulls the DK Ulrich-owned car into the garage area. And so, scratch another car off the list, those out there in competition. They're being led by Bill Elliott, who was the pole sitter of this race in the Coors Spelling Ford. We'll be right back after this. Who was the 4th car on the lead lap, the 4th and final car on the lead lap, has dropped off the pace dramatically. He is running at the bottom of the racetrack. John, what's the story?
Bob, it's a serious overheating problem. Ricky had radioed in a few laps ago the water temperature all the way up over 280 degrees. They thought it might be a faulty gauge, but no, the oil temperature also going up over 230. The crew has some radiator fix-it, that quick fix stuff that you put into the radiator. And they've taken all the tools and headed for the garage area. Ricky is just out there running laps until they get to the garage area and get set for him to make a stop to fix the car. And in fact, they have radioed Ricky and told him to come into the pits and to the garage area on the next time by.
Well, let's see if he does. He's in between turns 3 and 4. Yes, indeed, he's down off the banking, the 24-degree banking here at Dover, and headed down pit road to the garage area where the crew will try to correct the overheating problem.
You know, Bob, he has had a good run of finishes going. He has 7 consecutive top 10 finishes, including a win at Watkins Glen. But I'll tell you, it's going to be hard-pressed to get in the top 10 here today, having to pull into the garage area. You see the crew, Waddell Wilson and the rest of the Levi Garrett crew go to work on that Chevrolet.
So now there are only 3 cars in the lead lap. Elliott, Dale Earnhardt, and Mark Martin. There's the leader, Elliott. Martin right behind him, and then comes Dale Earnhardt. It looks like Mark may be closing in on Bill a little.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he is definitely. Since he got around Earnhardt, he is game. So he might be able to get up there and pass Elliott and get those 5 bonus points for leading the lap.
And there is Dale Earnhardt. Now, the number 1 car of Terry Labonte just came in for a pit stop.
He did. He just changed tires a moment ago in the Skoll Oldsmobile number 1. Now, there's Harry Gant right behind Dale Earnhardt. He's one of the fastest cars on the track. Gant now has moved up to 4th place. He is a lap down, but running in 4th place. Brett Bodine is running in 5th position.
Inside Brett Bodine's Quaker State Buick. This is owned by Kenny Bernstein, by the way, and Kenny was the one who really organized that benefit for Darrell Gwynn that we talked about earlier. Harry once again way up high on the racetrack, but as Ned has said previously, that's where he likes to run here.
He won't run that high in 1 and 2 because of the cars. You see how he's in the middle of the racetrack? You just can't move up there and get in that slick stuff.
But he is closing in on Dale Earnhardt. Now, this will, of course, not be a battle for position because Harry is a lap down. But I think it's pretty evident that Gant is almost as fast, if not faster, than Dale Earnhardt at the moment.
And that rolling wreck that Dale Earnhardt just went by was Ernie Irvin.
There's a good battle for 7th place. Hut Strickland on the move in the Ray Vestas Buick, moving around Kyle Petty in the Peak Antifreeze Pontiac, and then there's Sterling Marlin in the Sunoco Oldsmobile. Kyle was up in 5th place not too long ago, but backsliding a little bit, and here comes Dale Jarrett right behind that crew as well. Dale is currently running in the 9th position. Rusty Wallace right behind Jarrett. We saw Jarrett in the pits when they put water in it during a caution period, and apparently that water has cured his problem. He's been able to run okay.
6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th right there, all in a battle for position.
Well, hey, fellas, is there room for 3 wide? Well, Rusty Wallace backed off, and he said, no, I don't believe I want to try that 3 wide coming off of that turn.
So Rusty just have to kind of sit there and watch those 2 get their race out of the way so he can go ahead and try to race with whoever wins that race or loses that race.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Garrett's going to dive into the turn, and Rusty's going to follow him right on in there. Kyle just moves up and says, go ahead, fellas. You want to race that hard? Well, go ahead.
We're about, 24 laps, 26 laps from the halfway point. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Ricky Rudd.
They are still working here in the garage area on the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. Waddell Wilson, the crew, trying to decipher the problem, whereas Ricky still sits in the car. We'll try to get a quick comment. Ricky, why is the car overheating? What's the problem?
Well, Jerry, I think it broke a radiator hose or something. It had a slow leak. Eventually lost just about all the water, and we rode around for a long time trying to keep it cool. That didn't work, so they're going to try to replace the hose and hope it didn't crack the cylinder head by putting the cold water back in it.
Well, as you see, he is still in the car. He would like to get back out. He is currently 6th in the Winston Cup point standings, and sitting here under the green flag will not help his efforts there at all.
And he is a 2-time winner of this event. He won it in 1986 and in 1987. Look at Gant, still closing in on Dale Earnhardt.
He was alongside Dale coming off the 4th corner, but he saw Dave Marcus, knew that Earnhardt would use Marcus for a pick going in turn 1, and had to back up and fall into the corner.
Well, Dave Marcus is running in 17th place. He just went down another lap, so he now is being shown as 2 laps down. There's a lot of cars that are 1 lap down. There's from about the 3rd, 4th position on back. True now 16th. We got a crash.
It's the 51 car of Jeff Purvis. This is the Bill Neil Bonnet car, and it's hit the inside wall of the backstretch.
And it happened right in front of the leader, Bill Elliott. Elliott was able to get slowed down and
Here comes Bill.
Across the start-finish line.
Takes the caution flag. So does the rest of the field. Now this affords the guys an opportunity to come in for another pit stop as Jeff Purvis's plastic coat car sits at the inside of the racetrack in the backstretch. Here's a replay.
You see him coming off the second corner, and he gets the car out of shape. Same thing I think had happened to Ernie Irvin. He got a little bit too high. Goes up, just barely touches the rear. Now he goes around. And here comes Bill Elliott. Now
and
what?
He did the right thing, Benny. We've always said drive towards the wreck if the car is in movement in front of you. Bill Elliott did that. Drove right towards him, and then the car spun down out of his way.
But if we can show that again, I want to show you what Jeff Purvis did wrong.
Okay.
Maybe we'll get a chance to see that in just a little bit.
Jeff is only in his second Winston Cup race, so perhaps he can take a lesson from a former Winston Cup champion. Let's go to Jerry Punch to call this pit stop by the leader, Bill Elliott.
We would expect Elliott and everyone else under the yellow to get 4 tires, and more importantly, because there's been a lot of oil and debris on the track, to get the windshield clean. And that's indeed what Mike Beam and the crew are doing. They have changed the right side tires. Now Tommy Cole's touching around to this side. Mark Martin on the bottom of your screen. They're going left side tires there. The Jack Rouse crew working on the car number 6, the Folgers Ford. Meanwhile, the Coors crew have the car off the jack. He is down and away. Mark Martin's crew finishing up their pit work. Earnhardt moving away. Mark Martin and Brett Bodine down pit road.
Elliott, Earnhardt, and Martin out in that order. Here is a replay of the crash once again.
All right, we see Purvis. And again, I think he got a little bit too high, got in the car goes sideways. He loses control, goes up, just touches the outside retaining wall. Now he spins around. We see smoke coming off all 4 tires. That means the brakes are on. Now watch, the brakes are still on now. The car's going straight. He lets go of the brakes because he thought the car was going straight. But unfortunately, he had the wheels turned. He didn't take that into consideration. As soon as he let off the brakes, boom, he hit the inside retaining wall.
Here it is again from another angle.
Right, now watch, see that all the tires are smoking. Now the car comes back straight. See the tires stop. Now he lets off the brakes, straight in the inside wall. If he just kept his foot on the brakes for another instant, he probably would have not hit the tire.
94 car lost a wheel in turn number 2. Sterling Marlin lost a wheel.
Left rear wheel. Here he is in the pit, so they'll have to jack it up and they'll have to pick it up first. Let's see if we can see what happens.
The wheel is bouncing at the upper, there it is. Way up on, it looks like it hit the outside wall and then rolled down the 24-degree banking.
So they just simply didn't get the lug nuts on that wheel. They had it off. The lug nuts off. Didn't get them back on.
But you saw that fellow with a bar. He's trying to open the exhaust pipe. He's flattening the exhaust pipe, dragging it around the racetrack.
Sterling Marlin gets the wheel back on the car and back out on the racetrack. We're at the 230 lap mark of the Peak Antifreeze 500 from Dover. Kyle Petty's Peak Antifreeze car number 42.
I agree. Looks pretty, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Look at this. Hi, guys.
From Syracuse.
Syracuse, New York. We used to do a dirt race up there in Syracuse every year at the mile track at the fairgrounds.
You got something in your pocket? We wasn't up there.
Well, we ESPN.
Oh, I see.
Nice city, Syracuse, New York. Appreciate your being here with the banner as we're just about to get set to go back to racing. You know, we were talking about how corporate America dictates what cars looks like. Remember, I'm sure within your driving career, you wouldn't drive a green race car because it was unlucky, huh?
I didn't care.
Here we go. Green flag is out. Race resumes. It's lap 234.
Brett Bodine down on the inside in the green car.
Wants to get the lap back.
Wants to get a lap back.
But he couldn't quite do it.
Nope. Hut Strickland to the outside in car number 12.
Bill Earnhardt, they're 3 abreast right beside. There was 3 abreast right beside of Brett Bodine, but Earnhardt did get the spot away from Hut Strickland. And now Mark Martin's on the inside of Strickland trying to get by him.
Brett Bodine between second place, Dale Earnhardt in third place, Mark Martin. And Hut Strickland in the Ray Bestis Buick number 12 runs right alongside Mark Martin.
Strickland running very well, running in the corner hard.
He's in 5th position at the moment. Hut Strickland is 5th. that car to a 13th place finish last week at Richmond.
They finally got that position sorted out. Mark Martin was able to get by. We see Bill Elliott with a pretty good lead on Dale Earnhardt. Here's Mark Martin trying to get by the Brett Bodine car, the Quaker State Buick. And right behind Mark is Rusty Wallace, the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac.
Here's a pack of cars fighting for position. That's 15, Morgan Shepherd, Michael Waltrip outside in the 30 car. Dale Jarrett is involved in the battle for position as he now goes between Waltrip and Morgan Shepherd. Nice move by Dale Jarrett. He's marching forward.
Fine move. Michael Waltrip got a little bit high, and Dale Jarrett took the advantage, went right by, and goes by Huss Strickland on the outside.
Citgo Ford is running good today. He had that little problem there for a while. They needed some water in the car, but once they got some in there, he got a lap down early, but it's been running pretty good since then.
And he's trying to go by Rusty Wallace on the outside.
This is a battle for 6th position. Rusty Wallace is 6th, and Dale Jarrett would like to have the 6th position.
Oh, Michael Waltrip runs hurt Strickland around.
And a spin to the inside of the racetrack.
Hope he don't go across the wall. He did go across the
Strickland?
Yeah. Yeah, he and Michael Waltrip got together going on in turn 1, and what a great job he did to set the car.
Yes, the yellow was out. There was a bit of a hesitation on Doyle Ford's part, but NASCAR Control up here on the main straightaway said, yes, put out the yellow flag. It closes the pits. It gives us another break for the 4th time this afternoon. The caution is out at Dover. Green has just come out. The field out of turn number 2 down the backstretch for the first half lap of Green. It was a short caution period because of the spin involving Hut Strickland. And meanwhile, the battle up front now begins to heat up just a little bit as Dale Earnhardt is within a half a car length of Bill Elliott, the leader of the race. And Mark Martin is right there also. Those are the first 3 and the only 3 on the lead lap.
Earnhardt's car, Dale Earnhardt was struggling before the caution flag.
Let's take a look at the reason for the most recent caution. The cars were in turn number 2 when there was contact.
We see Hut Strickland spin, and he goes down and gets in the gravel. That's what the caution was for, was because he kicked rocks out on the apron of the racetrack. Now that's the apron that the cars use exiting the pits. So they have to keep that clean for no so they don't have flat tires.
I believe that among the fastest cars on the racetrack is the Citgo Ford driven by Dale Jarrett. Look at him, come on.
Yeah, he's running in 4th place now, trying to get up there and get his lap back. He was down on the inside on the restart, but he couldn't beat Elliott to the first turn.
And he's working hard on Dale Earnhardt trying to get the lap back. He had a position on the outside, but not able to get by. Now he's going to try it on the inside.
Look to the inside, coming off the 4th corner. Here they come down the front stretch.
Side by side. He does have that position going in the corner, and Earnhardt wisely backs off, lets Dale Jarrett go, because Earnhardt wisely goes back to the inside, and he has position there.
Morgan Shepherd is into the pits with some ignition problem on the Motorcraft Ford.
Jarrett now once again around Dale Earnhardt, setting his sights on Bill Elliott, the leader. If he can get by him, we'll have 4 cars on the lead lap.
And he could be, as we've said, the fastest car on the speedway. We'll just have to see. There's Leonard. Oh, yeah, Leonard's happy.
He's enjoying the run. Dale finished 7th at Bristol about 4 weekends ago. Also had a top 10 finish at the Pepsi 400 in Daytona, at Michigan.
And look at Mark Martin trying to get alongside Dale Earnhardt. Took a look, not able to get by.
That's the battle for 2nd. That's Jerry Hufflin, who is still out there. The 09 car running slow.
Kenny Schrader now beginning to flex his muscles a little bit. You see him just on the right of the screen there. He's running in 5th place. First time we've seen him on the board today.
Here comes Schrader.
Yeah,
Yeah, he has had his ups and downs, but is on an up right now, that's for sure. Dale Jarrett is in 4th position, and there is your 5th place car, Kenny Schrader.
Is Dale Earnhardt running a little bit faster than he was before the 2 caution flags ago? He looked like that he might have had some problems, but they might have saw some of those on the pit stop. Approaching halfway, Bob.
Yep, we are at the halfway point. As a matter of fact, this time around, it'll be lap 251.
Well, Barroso in the pits, an unscheduled pit stop in the Crown Oldsmobile.
We'll time a lap here by Earnhardt, and Benny, maybe we can answer your question.
Well, we'll see if he's running a little bit faster. He looks like he is because, you know, last time Mark Martin just drove by in a lap or two, and Martin now either content to stay behind Earnhardt or not able to catch him. Remember, they qualified about 25 seconds flat, so we'll see what kind of time they're running now.
26 seconds flat, and that's going to equate to 138.461 miles an hour. I did that in my head. Here comes Mark Martin to challenge Earnhardt for second.
Has position, but Earnhardt's going to drive it in hard, but he will drift up the hill. Maybe Martin can get back on the inside. We'll see.
Boy, they sure brought the crowd to his feet. They are up and cheering.
Some of them cheering for Earnhardt, some of them for Martin, and some of them for Ford, and some of them for Chevrolet.
Yeah, and some of them against rather than for somebody.
So whatever it's for, it's exciting. And that's some pretty exciting racing back there as well. And right behind those drivers.
Elliott opening up the advantage as these 2 cars battle for position. There's the average in the race record. We're about 2 miles an hour under the race record of 124.7 miles an hour. That was
set by Ricky Rudd in 1987.
Right.
I didn't even have a cheat sheet, and I knew that.
I didn't either.
For the Morgan Shepherd Bud Moore fans, Morgan is still in the pits with the hood up on the Motorcraft Ford. He has an ignition problem, so he has lost several laps. And here's a battle for the 5th place. About to come up, Rusty Wallace on the move now in the Miller Pontiac, catching Ken Schrader. Now, not many laps ago, Wallace was in 7th place. He moved around Michael Waltrip and now has caught Schrader for the 5th place. You can see Michael Waltrip's yellow car back there behind them. Michael currently running in the 7th position, but Wallace trying to take over 5th. He wants to get his number back on the board here at Dover. The scoreboard here for the fans that they see only lists the top 5, and he'd like to see his number up there on that side.
We mentioned Rob Moroso in for a pit stop. His fuel filter collapsed, and they had to replace it. Look at this. Martin once again alongside of Dale Earnhardt as they head for 1, but Dale has the advantage. A little bit of tire smoke off the number 3 car.
We got 2 races going on. Mark Martin's trying to get inside Earnhardt, and Rusty was trying to get inside Schrader. So where do you look?
Well, we'll show you both of them. That's how we'll do it. Now we'll focus in on the 3 and 6 cars.
I think Earnhardt is probably holding Martin up a little bit now. We saw him battle for a long time before, and once he got around him, he was able to pull away.
Yep, Earnhardt slipped a little bit there in the 2nd turn and got up a little bit high. Martin was there to take advantage. Let's see now if he can make the pass, as this battle is also really good.
Now Earnhardt trying to come back on the inside.
Now Martin has the preferred line on the outside, and I don't. This is the doggonest thing I've ever seen.
There's no reason for us to sit here and talk about it. Just watch.
Good idea.
Wallace again.
Rusty Wallace is on the inside.
Yeah.
Ken Schrader. Let's see if he can make it stick. Not so far. Schrader moves up. Wallace comes down. They're side by side. Now Martin side by side. Which one are we going to watch? We'll watch this one. Okay, we'll go back to this one.
Keeps our producer and our director busy. Now look at Dale Jarrett. He's about to get his lap back.
Well, he's trying hard on Bill Elliott.
There's just, and the people seated right in front of us here in the booth, we have a window looking out over the racetrack, and People are turning around and giving the thumbs up to Ned. Oh, and Mark Martin is in trouble coming in for a pit stop. Just all of a sudden, Martin brings it off the banking. Jerry, what's going on there?
Well, the crew just jumped over the wall a minute ago, and Mark Martin's running when it comes in. Apparently, he must have cut a tire. The left rear tire is going down on the Folgers Ford. A flat left rear tire. They put the left front and left rear on. Steve Meal, Robin Pemberton, Austin Taylor. He is out and away, but a tough break for Mark Martin.
He goes the left down, Jerry, as Bill Elliott went around while Martin was trying to get out of the pit.
Only took him 11.6 seconds, but it was enough to drop him a lap down on the field. So now Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt are the only two cars that are on the lead lap. Dale Jarrett is right there behind Bill, trying to get back into the lead lap. Once again, a reminder about our Sports 900 number that you can dial throughout the week, as a matter of fact. Just dial 1-900-SPORTS-1, and for $1.95 for the first minute and $1 for each additional minute, you can hear comments from your favorite drivers, get the latest news from the Winston Cup circuit, and the latest news regarding race results. Back after this. Afternoon from Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware, the 23rd of 29 Winston Cup races for 1990, and at the 268 lap mark, it is the number 9 car of Bill Elliott that leads this race, with Dale Earnhardt running in second position. Those are the only two cars on the lead lap. Dale Jarrett there on the left of your screen behind Bill Elliott is in third position. He's a lap down. Then comes Rusty Wallace and the 25 car of Ken Schrader.
You know, Bob, it's been a long time since we have seen just two cars on the lead lap. Do you know when the last time that a driver won in a lap by himself?
Boy, it's been a while, I'll bet. I do not know.
It was in 1987 when Kyle Petty won the World 600 in the Wood Brothers car.
Over 3 years since that's happened.
Yep.
Timing a lap as we give you the field snapshot as you watch for your favorite driver. There's Jimmy Means passing through. Okay, there is Bill Elliott. That's the 26-second lap. And remember, we timed Dale Earnhardt just a few minutes ago, and he had a 26-second lap.
You did that well, Bob.
And the 26 car of Brett Bodine has a problem and drops to the low side of the racetrack. He was running in 9th position. Brett Bodine may have lost a cylinder.
Yeah, it looks like he may be still running, but certainly not up to speed. That's too bad. If he has dropped the cylinder on, the equipment stays good. You just have to sort of ride it out as long as that thing will keep going.
He'll stay out there, right, Ned? Like Ned said, he'll stay out there just as long as he possibly can to get every point he can. We saw Alan Kowicki right behind him. He is in the same situation. He's minus some cylinders, at least one, and he's like Brett Bodine, having to ride around and watch the faster cars go by.
Brett Bodine 15th in the point standings, but only 49 behind Davey Allison. So a few $1,000 there up for grabs. There is Alan Kowicki, car number 7. He's many laps off the pace, but again out there to gain those Winston Cup points. Kowicki 11th in the point standings. There's the leader, Bill Elliott.
Just cruising around out there in great shape.
And meanwhile, Rusty Wallace has just passed Dale Earnhardt. The 27 car just a couple of laps ago passed Dale Earnhardt. Now that was not for position, but if he can get by Bill Elliott, he would get his lap back, because Rusty Wallace in the black 27 is in fact a lap down.
Running in 4th place now. Pulling away from Earnhardt a little bit. What do you think, Ned? Dale Earnhardt saw Martin have his problems. Do you think he could be taking it easy now, or is that his style? It's not. I know it's not normally his style. Do you think they could just say, or tell him to take it easy a little bit? Well, I'm sure that he's not going to take any chances now. His car is not as fast as Bill Elliott's right now, and he knows there are only 2 cars on the lead lap, so there is no point in him taking any unnecessary chances. I don't think the car's working quite as well as it did earlier when he was leading so much of this race. So I would say that he's taking it a little bit easy. And that's good and smart to do that. I mean, it'd be foolish to be racing a car that's a lap down.
So Dale Earnhardt 16 points behind in the Winston Cup battle, is in second position to Bill Elliott. Mark Martin has dropped to 7th position because of his unscheduled pit stop for a cut tire. So Dale Earnhardt is really in a pretty good position here to pick up some more points. In the remaining races, Dale, do you race the track or do you race Mark Martin?
We're not racing the 6 car. We're racing everybody out there. You know, we've got 39 competitors when we go out and start a race that we got to beat, and we're going to be working to race them and win the race. We'll look around at the end and add the score up.
So that's the strategy that Dale Earnhardt is using in this race and all races.
And his competitor, Martin Martin, we saw a moment ago, had an unscheduled pit stop. Had a flat left rear tire, but he now is back on the racetrack and on the move. He's gaining spots with regularity. There he is. He just went by Kenny Schrader in the Kodiak Chevrolet a couple of laps ago.
That should move him to 5th, shouldn't it?
Yes, it should. It should move him into 5th place. So that's quite a comeback after losing. Of course, he is still a lap down, but losing as much time as he did on that unscheduled pit stop. He was in 10th when he came out after that pit stop, so now he's worked his way back up to 5th.
Now, rest assured, fans, that Mark Martin is not calculating right now. He's running basically as hard as he possibly can, because this is not the first 100 miles of the race, the first 200. We're getting down to where you got to start looking at the checkered flag. And I believe that Mark is showing his hand right now, running as hard as he possibly can.
220 laps remain in this race. Mark Martin is fighting back. Bill Elliott is the leader of the Peak Antifreeze 500 at Dover Downs International Speedway. Back after this. Reminder, baseball tonight, Sunday night at 8 o'clock here on ESPN. We have an American League game coming up, and the Toronto Blue Jays need this one. They'll go against the Baltimore Orioles at 8 o'clock tonight Eastern Time, live Sunday night baseball here on ESPN.
Do the Tigers have a chance?
No. Look at Mark Martin. Look at Martin. He passes Dale Earnhardt. Now, again, this is not for position. Mark is trying to get his lap back, but he's passed the second-place car, and now he only has to pass Elliott to get back on the lead lap.
So he is the fastest car on the racetrack, no question about it.
Let's see. We're going to time Mark Martin and just see how.
Remember, both Earnhardt and Elliott have clocked 26-second flat laps. Now let's see what Mark does.
I clocked him on my watch at about 25.95 a little bit ago. Now, he is gaining on Bill Elliott right now.
Yep.
Regardless of what this lap time is, he's picking up some. We might need to check Elliott again to see how quick he's running at this point. 26.1, so evidently Elliott has slowed down maybe to 26.2 or something like that.
Yep.
Well, look how quickly he closed right in on the back of Rusty Wallace. Martin Martin is running as fast, as aggressive as he has all day now.
That's for position.
Yep, he's going for 4th position there. Dale Jarrett is 3rd. Checking the interval here between 1st and 2nd. It's 3.6 seconds.
And Mark Martin's on the inside of Rusty, but Rusty drives her hard down in the corner. Mark gets her to stick on the bottom and goes by with ease.
He is coming on.
Bill Elliott goes by Dave Marcus, the Big Apple Market Chevrolet. That's Dale Jarrett, the Citgo Ford, right behind Bill, still right behind him, 1 lap down. Remember, 3.6, 3.4.
Shaved off 0.2 of a second.
And passed Rusty Wallace while he did
process. Yep. There's Ernie Irvin's battered Lumina. After a crash and turn 2 earlier, Elliott leads. Try another interval. Elliott has some clear sailing ahead of him, so he may have been able to lengthen the advantage a little bit. Let's check it. 3.2.
0.2 of a second a lap.
Now, fellas, I had my stopwatch on Elliott that time, and it's 26.17, so it was close to that 26.20 that we thought. So he's gaining about a little more than 1/10 of a second of that, 0.2 of a second a lap.
in.
Gained 1/10 of a second that time.
All right, let's go to John Kernan for a comment. I'm sorry, Jerry Punch.
When Mark Martin cut that left rear tire down and came down pit road, he had a problem with the handling of the car. The car was just too very tight. He couldn't get the car to turn in the corners. They put a sticker tire on the left rear, which was smaller than the tire they had on the right rear, so therefore the stagger changed. Now the car is driving very, very well. It's driving like a dream, according to Mark. I just talked to Steve Neal, and the car, by accident, suddenly is running very, very well. Meanwhile, Earnhardt has told Childress his car is very tight. They changed all 4 tires on their last pit stop. They had a lot of bite in the car and got the car too tight. So Earnhardt will have to wait and bite his time. His car pushing bad in the turn.
Yeah, there's no question that while we have been watching Mark close in on Bill Elliott, Earnhardt has been dropping back just a little. The car obviously not working quite as well as he would like for it to.
That's the problem with this racetrack. You know, if it's perfect in the beginning, it's not that good at the end. If it's bad at the beginning, it could be great at the end.
Here's a battle for position. That's Ken Schrader in 25, Michael Waltrip at number 30, and Davey Allison in 28. Each of these guys are racing for the spot.
In fact, that is 6th, 7th, and 8th that they are racing for. Schrader running 6th, Michael Waltrip 7th, Davey Allison in 8th place. All of those cars are 1 lap down. And also 1 lap down in 9th is Harry Gant. Strickland is 10th, 1 lap down. Sterling Marlin 11th. Kyle Petty is 12th. So a lot of cars there that are 1 lap down. Well, Vinny, you're talking about the track changing. One thing that would cause it to change, when we started this race, it was overcast. Now the sun is shining, and that will make a difference.
There was a prediction before this race started that there would be rain by the halfway point, but it does not appear to be rainy at all. And in fact, rain even close to us. The sun is shining at the 294 lap mark, and that's Bill Elliott's number 9 glistening in the sunshine as he leads the Peak Antifreeze 500. Is now inside of Dale Jarrett and passing him. Jarrett was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack a few laps ago. Martin has passed him now, and he now has clear sailing between himself and Bill Elliott.
He is definitely gaining on Bill Elliott. If this thing stays green, fellas, he'll get back in the lead lap in about 15 laps. And remember, if they have to make green flag pit stops, he's going to have a cushion there for a little while and won't have to come in.
Impressive performance by Mark Martin, who had to make an unscheduled pit stop for a flat left rear tire. But he has come on with a vengeance.
But as Jerry said, that making that tire change has showed them that when they opened the stagger up, that it made the car that much faster.
So they know something then for the rest of the day, how to size their tires up and put on that car. They get back in the lead lap and catch a caution or something, he will definitely be back in the figures.
Exactly. That may know something that the competitors don't know. Yep. There goes Elliott by Alan Kulwicki. Greg Sachs, the Ultra Slim Fast car. By the way, I was going to ask you, how did Sachs get home the other night, Ed? We left him in Reading, Pennsylvania, folks.
he caught a ride with Earnhardt in his airplane.
Oh, I see.
Boy, he is moving in.
Boy, he sure is.
Mark Martin is on Bill Elliott.
Close the interval. It's unbelievable. Let's take a look at the top 5 in the point standings. Martin, Earnhardt, Bodine, who's already out of the race, Rusty and Bill. And now here's where they're running in our race. Martin 4th, Earnhardt 2nd, Rusty is 5th, and Elliott is the leader of the race. Now 6 through 10, Rudd, Petty, Shepard, Irvin, and Schrader. And where they're running this afternoon, Rudd behind the wall. Kyle Petty is 12th. Morgan Shepard and Ernie Irvin are both behind the wall, and Ken Schrader is in 6th.
Boy, Schrader could take a big lead.
Sure could.
3 cars out of the 6 to 10 is out of the race already.
He was only 46 behind Irvin as they went into this race. There's Mark once again. Look at him close in.
No point in time in this difference, is there?
No.
He is there. Boy, that car is working down through the corners. He just drives it deep in and stays down on the inside for him.
And there we see Richard Petty going by Darrell Walter, trying to go by Darrell. Darrell was in the pits just a couple laps ago. Elliott Pulls alongside the King.
The King is 18th and now goes 3 laps down.
And Mark,
here comes
Mark. Back up Bill.
Once again, the crowd on its feet here in front of us as they watch Mark Martin move in on Elliott.
See, Mark was not able to let the car drift up coming off turn 4. And look, it cost him about 5 or 6 car lengths. Just the fact that he had to hold the car down because he didn't know exactly where Richard was. And we'll watch him this time. He'll take the car right up, watch his groove right up to the top of the racetrack. He wasn't able to do that last time, and it cost him.
Well, Bill Elliott, the leader of the race, has been in this position before. He knows what it's like to be in the battle for the Winston Cup. So, Bill, what do you think is going through Mark Martin's mind right now?
Well, Mark's kind of like we were in '88. We're pumped up. He's pumped up. You know, but you got to look at the standpoint that Earnhardt them's been through it several times and they know what to expect. But, you know, it's going to be an interesting points race. But I still say it's going to be the one that has the least amount of mistakes from this point on, because there's still a lot of races left and a lot of things can happen. And if it goes to being close into Atlanta, you know, I'd have to say Earnhardt had the advantage over Mark going into Atlanta. But, you know, still it's going to be a situation that, you know, the short track race is going to pose a big problem, because that's where Earnhardt lost it last year with the situation he had at Wilkesboro and then falling out of Charlotte real early. But you just have to wait and see.
And if you stay with us here on ESPN, we will follow the battle for the Winston Cup right to its conclusion. We've got Martinsville coming up next weekend, then North Wilkesboro, then we've got Rockingham, Phoenix, and the final race of the 1990 season at Atlanta. We'll take another break and be back with more live action of the Peak Antifreeze 500 that Bill Elliott leads.
Pit stop for our leader, Bill Elliott. The Coors Sport gets right side tires and gas in 13.5 seconds. A green flag pit stop for Elliott. Earnhardt, the remaining front cars, have yet to make their green flag stop.
Dale does pick up the lead because of that pit stop by Bill Elliott, but he'll need a pit stop soon. That's Rusty Wallace behind Bill Elliott as he comes back out onto the racetrack. And looks like Wallace is slowing down. Yes, indeed. Rusty Wallace is headed for pit road. And his regularly scheduled stop, Davey Allison, is right behind him.
And Davey Allison just barely missed the wall coming in pits. Here's Rusty Wallace.
The Winston Cup champion has his choice of pits, and he chose the one at the very end of the pit lane on toward turn number 1. Jimmy Makar, the crew chief on this car this week because of the departure of Barry Dodson. Down off the jack in 13.3 seconds, and Rusty Wallace goes back into competition. There goes Davey Allison back out. There's Dale staying out there.
He's the leader of the race. Coming off the second corner, goes by Rusty Wallace. So Rusty would be 2 laps down.
So Elliott is still in the lead lap. So if the caution should come out, it wouldn't hurt him that bad.
Here's Dale Jarrett. John Kernan reports on Jarrett's pit stop.
The Wood Brothers crew goes to work. It will be a right side tire change only. This is our 4th place car. He needs a really good pit stop. Eddie Wood throws the right front tire to Leonard Wood. Leonard still cleaning some of the debris off the front of the grill. The right side tires are on, waiting for the last drop of gas to go in. It does 14 seconds even, and Dale Jarrett is away.
Not a bad pit stop for the Wood Brothers, and out goes Dale Jarrett.
The 3 cars we've timed so far have been within 1 second of each other in a pit stop.
And again, Earnhardt stays out there, stretching the fuel mileage. There goes Dale Jarrett down a lap for the moment.
Yeah, I'll tell you one reason Earnhardt is stretching this, folks, because we're 318 laps. Bill Elliott may have to make 2 pit stops to get by the rest of the day. If Earnhardt can stretch it just a little bit further, he may be able to make it on 1 pit stop. Gasoline, once again, may be
the difference. Here's Michael Waltrip in for a stop. He's running in the top 5. The 3 car is slowing. Here comes Earnhardt. Down off the banking. Jerry Punchy's headed your way. Dale Earnhardt.
And Benny Parsons, that's exactly what they're trying to do. Remember, they ran 94 miles at Richmond last week, and it was fuel mileage that won that race for them up there. They have pitted here on lap 320. They have gone 90 miles. If they run 90 more miles, it'll be lap 410. That means they can make it on one more fuel stop. If they have changed right side tires, got it very full of fuel, and he is down and away, 15.5 seconds.
Isn't that amazing? Every team has been around the 13.5-second mark on their pit stop.
You're right, Jerry. There are a lot of ifs to be answered the remainder of the afternoon. Now, remember, Mark Martin does not need a pit stop for quite a few laps.
But he is the leader. He is the leader of the race. He'll just get by the start-finish line right now. 5 bonus points.
And he can go about 30 more laps, fellas, as far as fuel is concerned. So he might be able to lead this thing for a pretty good little while. Of course, the caution would help him if he can make this next stop under green. So he's back in sync as far as everybody now has made a green flag pit stop. But he'll have to make one before anybody else if we don't have a caution.
Well, we know that he has to make at least 2 more stops, and Dale Earnhardt may be able to get by with 1 more stop.
Right.
Mark Martin assumes the lead of the race with 322 laps completed. And now running in second position is Bill Elliott. We'll be back with more of our live coverage here at Dover Downs International. Mark Martin is trying to tame the Monster Mile here at Dover, Delaware. The peak Antifreeze 500 is 327 laps old, and Mark the leader of the race. Elliott, then comes Rusty Wallace. Now, our next race is a week from today. We won't be live. We'll be on tape next Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, the NASCAR Goodies 500 from Martinsville Speedway, the half miles next Sunday night. And you can sit back and relax and watch our coverage of that event next.
Martin running lap after lap, but he's going to have to pit probably in the next 10 laps. He will have to come in.
2 wins for 1990 for Mark Martin. There's second place, Bill Elliott. He's looking for win number 1. He, of course, was the pole sitter of the race. $100 in Unocal bonus money should he win the event. Third place car is Dale Earnhardt. There he is. Those 3 cars are the only ones on the lead lap.
He's right behind Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett. Both those cars racing for position, for 3rd position.
Make that fourth position. Rusty Wallace running 4th, Jarrett running in 5th place. There are 9 cars that are 1 lap down. We're seeing 2 of them there. That's Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett. Not too far behind them is Davey Allison in 6th. Michael Waltrip is 7th. Kenny Schrader 8th. Hut Strickland is 9th. Kyle Petty 10th. 11th is Harry Gant. And Sterling Marlin is in 12th place, 1 lap down. Sterling just made a pit stop a lap ago.
There's a 28 car position.
In front of him.
There's Michael Waltrip in the Maxwell House Pontiac. He's 7th. Car of Ken Schrader is next.
Looking for him.
He'll be there. There he is. Schrader in 8th.
Is Hut Strickland.
There you go.
Car number 12, and that's a battle right there for.
Yep, 9th position.
9th position. Kyle Petty trying to take away 9th. He is currently in 10th.
That's a Buick. The 12, the red 12 is a Buick driven by Hut Strickland. The 42, blue 42 is Kyle Petty, the blue Pontiac.
Hutt, of course, has never won a Winston Cup race. Okay, here's a trivia question. Who was to win here at Dover?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I am.
Jody Ridley.
Yeah, well, you looked at...
I did.
Jody Ridley in 1981, and Kyle Petty picked up the position from Hut Strickland. Strickland back to 10th. Kyle Petty in 9th. Here comes a 33 car of Harry Gant. He's 11th.
Yeah, he pitted about a little bit before the rest of the cars and changed 4 tires. There's the 66 car, Dick Trickle.
He is
The car on the right is the King, Richard Petty, the STP Pontiac.
You know, a lot of people can automatically tell you where King Richard Petty's 200th win came. Where was his 199th win?
Right here at Dover Dell.
Very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dennis. I'll give you credit.
It was here at Dover. The 4 car of Sterling Marlin, who was a lap down in 12th. So Sterling stands to go 2 laps down here. Remember, that car lost a wheel not too long before Machine.
Evidently it didn't do much damage. Up to speed pretty well, but Martin goes by down the backstretch. Whoops. I say went by. He tried to go by.
Very good.
You know, Bob, you were talking a moment ago about that win. Then Junie Donlevy's car, Junie Donlevy, and it was sponsored by Sonny King, who has been a real friend of auto racing. Sonny, our condolences to his wife Patty and the rest of Alabama.
Indeed, that is the case, and that win, by the way, of Jody Ridley back in 1981 was one of the very first NASCAR races that was televised on ESPN. I had the pleasure of doing that along with Dick Berggren back then, and we saw Jody Ridley win that day. Down. What's
he almost lost control. Coming over the 4th corner, was on the inside of Sterling Marlin. Got the car out of shape.
Wow.
Had to back off a little bit. Sterling's working hard to stay in that lead. I mean, keep from going 2 laps down.
Martin backed off for 2 reasons. Number 1, he had to get the car under control. Eating again.
Here it is again.
And you can see.
Yeah.
Back in, went around on him.
A carbon copy of the shot we saw earlier today when he was racing Dale Earnhardt at the checkered flag last year here.
Now he gets around, but he's got a pit stop coming up, fellas, in about in less than 10 laps, I say.
So we will take a break here and be back for that pit stop, which Mark Martin needs because remember he's off sequence from everybody else. Back after this. 43 laps. It's Mark Martin leading Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt 3rd, Rusty Wallace 4th, and Dale Jarrett 5th. Only 3 cars on the lead lap. Then 6 through 10, Davey Allison, Michael Walterbus 7th, Ken Schrader, Kyle Petty, and Hut Strickland running in 10th position. Now, Mark Martin is due for a pit stop before too long. It's probably going to come in the next, well, 5, less than 10 laps. Let's go to Jerry Punch. What's the story down there in Roush's pit?
Well, they're very pleased with the way the car's running right now, Bob, as you would suppose. That remember, they changed only left side tires when they had that cut left rear tire, so the right side tires have gone a long way. And they are significantly worn, but they are still running awfully well. According to Jack Rouse's calculations, we would expect them to pit around lap 352, which would be about 6. Make it 5 laps from now. That would be their window on fuel. But their tires right now are holding up pretty well.
Well, Mark Martin does not want to see a crash, but he sure would like to see a yellow right here, wouldn't he? That would be a great benefit to him.
Now, fellas, here's something that could be significant. Rusty Wallace has caught Bill Elliott. When Mark Martin makes that pit stop, if Rusty is able to get around Elliott, Elliott's going to become the leader. That'll put Rusty Wallace back in the lead lap.
Rusty is in 4th spot, and not too far behind there is Dale Jarrett in 5th.
That's right. We see the Citgo Ford lurking back there. And Rusty within a car length or 2 of the Coors Ford of Bill Elliott.
And you can bet your bottom dollar that Harold Elliott, Jimmy Makar knows what's going on, that Mark Martin's going to have to make a pit stop, and they want their driver to pass Elliott so that he will be in the lead lap once Martin does make that pit stop.
Rusty closes in on Bill in the 4th turn. No attempt to pass, however. Now he takes a look to the inside in the 1st turn. Pulls alongside of Bill.
But they're coming up on a lap car. Let's see if that's Terry Labonte up in front of them. I don't know if it'll have any effect or not. He's far enough in front right now that it won't affect him as Rusty tries him again off of turn 4.
Rusty tries to go the inside, just can't get the grip that he needs down there.
Now, it's tough to get traction, Benny, coming off that turn on the inside. As we saw Mark Martin a little bit ago, the back end just went out from under him. I think turn 2 would be the place he can do it right here, but he won't do it this time.
Mark Martin's coming in.
Mark Martin slowing in turn 4 and headed toward his pit, Jerry Punch.
It will be a critical pit stop for our current Winston, Cup point leader. The Folgers Ford heads down pit road. Robert Pemberton, Steve Mill in the crew will change only right side tire and add fuel in the car. You hear the car revving. Mark Martin pushes the drink away to clean the windshield. And now the car is stalled. The car has died. Now it's refire. The car does refire. Get the car away.
Even with the car stalling, it only took 12.5 seconds.
What happened? He ran out of gasoline. He ran out of gas.
Boy.
That's why he was racing it so hard to keep it.
That is cutting it close, huh? There is Elliott, who now is the leader of the race.
And Mark Martin, there's Bill Elliott coming off the second corner. Mark Martin is just now going in the third corner, so he does stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, that was a good pit stop, and he was pretty far out in front of Bill Elliott, so he did stay in the lead lap. Rusty Wallace trying to get in the lead lap, but Bill Elliott has different ideas.
Rusty's worked on Bill, trying to get by him. He's got his tires a little bit hot. He's not getting the grip that he needs. Dale Jarrett, meanwhile, has been following those cars, keeping those tires cool. He's posed up on the back bumper off Rusty Wallace.
So it's Elliott leading, Earnhardt second, and Mark Martin now third at Dover Downs. Downs International Speedway, Bob Jenkins along with Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch, with now 358 out of 500 laps completed in this peak antifreeze 500. Number 9, Bill Elliott leads. Second is Dale Earnhardt. Third is Mark Martin. Fourth is Rusty Wallace in car number 27. You can see him right behind the leader.
Yeah, Bill Elliott is picking up on Dale Earnhardt. Let me turn that around. Dale Earnhardt is picking up on Bill Elliott. He has caught Jerry back there, who is right behind Rusty Wallace. You can see Earnhardt, there he is down on the inside of the racetrack, so he has definitely gained on Bill Elliott.
So Dale Earnhardt, who's been in second position now for second and third position for the last few laps.
Now look at Rusty trying to squeeze Bill Elliott behind Richard Petty and trying to get back in the lead lap. Taking advantage of traffic here, but Elliott is going to be able to go on the outside of Richard Petty. Richard moved down to the inside and said, hey, I'm not going to be a part of this. You fellas just go on and race your race, and I'll get out of the way.
The 27 and 21 cars are battling for position.
Those two cars are together, and the 3 and the 9 is battling for position. They're battling for first. There's the leader, 9, 27 and 21 battling for the fourth spot.
Look at Earnhardt coming.
Yeah, he's on the inside of Dale Jarrett. Gets a pretty good grip off turn 4, but I don't know if it's good enough. Cars are literally side by side exiting turn 2.
Ford and Chevy going at it. Jarrett's hanging right in there, isn't he?
He is hanging in. Doing a great job up there on the outside of Dale Earnhardt. Gets the grip and pulls in front of the Goodwrench Chevrolet. But Earnhardt comes back on the inside, trying to get a grip off the second corner. As Ned said a moment ago, if Dale rear end kicks out a little off that corner. Here's a slow car, Greg Sachs. Earnhardt will try to make it 3 abreast. Well, no. Running a lower groove around the racetrack than any of the other drivers, with maybe the exception of Mark Martin. We see Jarrett, Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott all run high on the racetrack, and Earnhardt about a car length, car width lower.
As we mentioned earlier, there is a new crew chief on this car, because last week, in the middle of the week, Barry Dotson announced his resignation from this team so that he can devote full time to running a new Winston Cup operation that will be in existence next year with the driver Mickey Gibbs.
Of course, we're talking about Rusty Wallace in the car number 27 that Barry Dotson was the crew chief.
3 car, once again, trying to get by. They've got Jimmy Spencer, the Heinz 57 Pontiac.
So we asked Rusty Wallace when he arrived here at Dover, how do you feel about losing Barry Dodson, crew chief, this weekend?
Well, it really is. I mean, we're going to miss him. I know that. And he's a great crew chief, and he's a good friend of mine. And we have no problems. It's just that he's far enough in the year right now that it's time for him to move on and start preparing his new team. I've got people preparing my new team for next year, and so he needs to do the same for him. And I think he went out on good terms with everybody. I know we won the World 600. That was a race we always wanted to win. We won California, and we won 18 races, and we're in a championship. So nothing he's got to feel bad about, I can tell you that. And we're going to miss him.
Barry Dodson feels, I talked to him during the week, he feels that Mickey Gibbs is in the position that Rusty Wallace was a few years ago, ready to be brought along and to be made a Winston Cup champion. We wish them luck in 1991. Now, let's take a look at our Western Auto Race recap as we take a look at the leader, Bill Elliott. The leader, Mark Martin, 6, has led 30 of the 350 laps. 4 cautions, 19 laps, 3 cars on the lead lap at an average speed of 127.932. The lap leaders have included Elliott, Earnhardt, Bodine, Gant, and Mark Martin. Those that are dropped out of the race, J.D. McDuffie, Mike Potter, Tommy Riggins, Jeff Bodine with a blown engine. Jim Sauter pulled out of the race. James Hilton, Jeff Purvis, and the Neil Bonnet car crashed out. Jerry Hufflin also dropped out of competition, and Ricky Rudd, Tommy Ellis driving for Lake Speed, and Jimmy Horton. Now the mechanic of the year, Western Auto standings coming into this event. Robin Pemberton from the 6 car, Mark Martin car on top, Tim Brewer from Jeff Bodine's car second, then Danny Glad, Mike Beam, and Andy Petrie. All going for the very prestigious Mechanic of the Year award.
Whoa!
Wow. Sterling Marlin and Dale a little close there.
I didn't think Earnhardt was going to get the car out of Sterling Marlin's back end. I thought he was going to run right in the back of him.
The leader is Bill Elliott in car number 9, with Earnhardt second and Mark Martin running in 3rd position. The laps continue to click off. We're 372 into this event now. We'll be right back. Bill Georgia is the leader of the Peak Antifreeze 500. He started this race from the pole position. Okay, you guys, here's another trivia question. Who was the last driver to win the Peak 500 from the pole position?
It's got to be Bill Elliott, or you wouldn't have phrased it that way.
Nope. Cale Yarborough.
Thank you, Ned. 1976. Benny, go to your history book. Study a little harder.
I will.
Next
I'll have
week.
to do that. Are you trying to make me look bad?
No, I just can't subtract, so I'm trying to make you look bad too.
You know, fellas, Elliott has pulled away from Rusty Wallace and Jarrett and Earnhardt that had caught him there a little bit ago, and they got in a lot of traffic, and Elliott got through the traffic good, and now he's pulled away.
We're timing the lap to see how good indeed he is running.
I think Mark Martin is still the fastest car on the racetrack, but he's about 3/4 of a lap behind Bill Elliott.
26.2.
Hey, these cars are running fairly consistent all day.
Yep.
And after this far into the race, and they got close to 200 miles on those left side tires, that's running at a pretty good clip.
Let's see if I can do this in my head again. That's 137.4 miles an hour.
I'm impressed.
Hey, we'll just clock Mark Martin and see if he is the fastest car on the racetrack. It just looked like it out there. We'll see. Martin running in the 3rd position.
He's almost a half second faster than Elliott.
Wow.
And that computes to a speed of...
Tell him, Kenny.
139.5.
I saw you sneaking around that computer. Martin, you know, if he hadn't made that unscheduled pit stop,
I believe he'd be the car to beat.
He could be, and he still might be.
Could still be. Unical bonus money of $15,200 available in this race. But you know, we've really had a lot of winners of that Unical bonus this year. Kyle Petty won a whole bunch of money at Rockingham, $228,000. Then Dale won it at Talladega, and Jeff at Martinsville, and then Earnhardt won it most recently at Talladega just 2 events ago. So it's down to Darlington. So it's down to 15-2, but Bill could take that home this afternoon.
And ain't that 15,200 would be the least amount won in the Unical Challenge?
Yeah, that's
look at that Kyle Petty. He went almost all. Rusty Wallace won it the second race of 1989, and it went to Rockingham the second race, the third race in 1990 before anyone won it.
Top 20 after 383 of the 500 laps here at Dover. Here where we are at the racetrack. Now, tomorrow night here on ESPN at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, the Indy cars are running today at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. The Red Roof Inns 200. You can see tape coverage of that event tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN.
We're watching Bill Elliott, the leader, but meanwhile, right behind Bill, Dale Jarrett got by Rusty Wallace, and also Dale Earnhardt. So Rusty back to the 5th spot, and Earnhardt between the two cars that are a lap down. Both these cars are red and white 21, Dale Jarrett, and the black 27 are a lap down. The black 3, Dale Earnhardt, is our second place car. You see Morgan Shepherd back there in a Motorcraft Ford. He's, as Ned mentioned, made some unscheduled pit stops, spent a lot of time in the pits, but car now back on the racetrack seems to be running well.
Yeah, he had an ignition problem and he was behind the wall for a while. And too bad. He was running real good.
Dale Jarrett, look at his last 4 finishes. A couple of top 10s there for Dale. This is without doubt one of his strongest performances all year in that Citgo Ford.
Quit watching him coming off of that second turn. He got awfully close to the wall there.
He's running a line very similar to Mark Martin, going in turn 3, letting the car drift up higher than most coming off the 4th corner.
There's Morgan Shepherd in the 15 car, the Bud Moore car. 1991 team will stay together, I guess, on the Morgan Shepherd-Bud Moore situation.
Yeah, Morgan told me at the ball game Thursday night that they were all would stay together again. There, but just moves around Rusty Wallace.
Oh, we have a car in the wall. Dick Trickle spins on the backstretch and hits the wall. Now the yellow flag comes out. Our 5th one of the day. This is going to tighten things up.
It sure is. We're going to find out if Mark Martin is in fact the fastest car on the racetrack, because he's going to have to pass.
This will allow Mark to come in and get a 4-tire change, because remember, it's been a couple of pit stops since he changed left side tires. So the caution comes out. Right now the pit area is closed. Once again, a very busy pit road. Derek Cope has spun on pit road and is sideways. However, everybody was able to get in. That top of your screen, and Dale Earnhardt on the bottom as the crews work on their, again, both out at just about the same time, but Elliott, because he's pitted further down toward turn 1, wins the race out. Mark Martin is, as the Jack Roush crew works on it.
Mark Martin was one of the last cars to come into the pits because he was so far out, but he now completes his.
Derek Cope spun on pit road, as we said, and as in just a little too hot.
You will see him lock up the rear tires, and around he goes.
And everybody hits the brakes behind and kind of causes the reason we are of a crash involving Dick Trickle in turn 2.
On the outside, just about like Ernie Irvin, just loses the back end, goes up, and about like Ernie, backs in the inside retaining wall. And I think he's going to go down and make some damage to the front.
Very similar crash to Jeff Purvis's. Exactly. There is Dick Trickle. Pontiac.
He was running in 14.
but he'll continue in the race, although the car is badly damaged. Junior on the P500. Dover Downs International Speedway under caution because of an incident involving Dick Trickle on the backstretch out of turn number 2. The field now being given the signal 1 more lap to go. In the meantime, let's show you some Big A pit stop performance. Bill Elliott, look at the driver time, 12.2 in the crew 22.6, total 34.8. Now compare that to the performance turned in by Dale Earnhardt. Look, the driver's time is slower, 16.2, crew 18.5. Total's about the same, but there is an explanation of why the driver time was slower.
Well, let's just watch. We'll watch Dale Earnhardt as he comes down pit road, and he's following the 21 car. Bill Elliott's able just to accelerate right down to his pit. See the gap? And Earnhardt had to wait for Dale Jarrett to move over to get out of his way. Then he was able to accelerate to his pit. The difference of 4 seconds.
And there's Derek Cope's car sideways on pit road. Just about to go back to green now. We've got just a little more than 100 laps remaining in this race. 398 when they come down, take the green flag. 102 left to go. The crowd is on its feet. Sellout crowd here at Dover. They built new stands in the second turn and they sold every one of those. Green flag is back out. Here we go back to racing.
Rusty Wallace trying desperately to get by Bill Elliott, get his lap back. Takes a shot on the inside. No, decides to follow Bill Elliott down the back straightaway.
Again, the 3 cars that are in the lead lap. Elliott the leader, then Earnhardt and Mark Martin. Rusty Wallace is in 4th position, but is a lap down. Earnhardt drifts a little high in the second turn.
Almost opened the door for Mark Martin. He cracked it, but Martin was not able to walk on in.
Now there's Mark Martin taking a look at Dale Earnhardt. Battle for second position.
As low as Mark Martin has been running the last couple of 100 miles, unless Earnhardt can keep it on the bottom of the racetrack, Martin's going to be able to get by him. Now look at Mark trying to go on the outside.
Oh, he's sideways again.
Ooh, look at the tires smoking on that 3 car. That's probably the right front tire. Looks like the 3 cars picked up a push, and Mark Martin pulls alongside.
Mark Martin making the bid for second position, trying to pass Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt will have nothing of it, but look at Martin get the bite on the low groove, and Martin moves to second. Here comes Harry Gant.
Gant currently being shown in the 5th position, 1 lap down.
And a great battle going on behind the action up front. Kyle Petty is involved in the race with Ken Schrader, Michael Waltrip, also Hut Strickland and Sterling Marlin.
The whole world side by side, it looks like.
Here's Schrader now trying to take over the 7th position from Michael Waltrip.
Hut Strickland don't know quite who to follow. He decides to follow Schrader. That was a wrong decision. And look at the smoke coming off his car as well.
I said 7th. That would be 8th position. Kyle Petty is running in 7th place. Well, maybe it's even a little bit more than that. Kyle Petty is running 8th. Dale Jarrett's running 7th. I'll get them straight in the moment. Yeah, maybe I need that.
Oh, we have a crash on the main straightaway. Rob Moroso into the wall. Rob Moroso hits the inside retaining wall here on the main straightaway.
And Rusty Wallace is going to race Bill Elliott back to the start-finish line, but he won't be able to get back in the lead lap.
Now then, do these guys stop? And can they make it the rest of the way?
95 laps to go. What do you think?
I don't know. I think some of them might be able to make it. I tell you, the ones that wait until this caution flag is over and dive on pit road will have an idea that they can make it.
Yep.
Jerry Punch, what do you think? How many guys can make it?
Well, remember, last week at Richmond, Virginia, Earnhardt went 94.6 miles. That was about all the gas he had. He ran out when he took the checkered flag, and he had to coast to victory lane. But it would be 95 miles if he pitted right now. And also, Earnhardt was having a serious problem. Benny, you mentioned it. You made the call. Out of turn 2, that right front tire smoking severely on the Goodwin Chevrolet. I talked to Childress a minute ago. Earnhardt said the car was so tight he couldn't turn the car in the corner. So this caution flag, a break for a number of cars. They will make an entry on the pit road and try to top their tanks off. Here's our leader, Bill Elliott. Rusty Wallace is in. Earnhardt is in. Martin is in. We'll watch the Earnhardt pit stop. The Goodwrench crew now will change 4 tires, try to readjust the stagger, put 4 fresh sticker Goodyear Eagles on the car. They're also making a chassis adjustment in the car, taking a little bit of bite out of the car. Childress has already made that adjustment, and now David Smith comes around, puts the jack on the left side of the car. Left side tires going on. 6 on the bottom of the screen. Earnhardt, now his car is out and away. Still working on the Martin Folger is forward, and left side tires are on. He is down and away. And Rob Moroso's Crown Oldsmobile making the left-hand turn to the garage area. So a break for a number of drivers, including Earnhardt, to get a chance to change tires and adjust the stagger. Gentlemen?
They made a major adjustment on the 3 car.
Yeah, it looks like they took 2 or 3 rounds of wedge out of the car, and some of these cars are so sensitive that a half round makes a difference. So that was a major adjustment.
So the track crew is now here on the main straightaway, checking it over for any debris that may have been put there by Rob Moroso when he hit the inside wall. Don't forget our sports. 1-900-SPORTS-1, $1.95 for the first minute, $1 each additional minute.
We're back at Dover, Delaware, in the waning laps of the Peak Antifreeze 500. We just had a caution flag for the spin of Rob Moroso, and everyone has made a pit stop. And gentlemen, the strategy is this: can you make it the rest of the way on fuel? They pitted with some 94 laps to go, 94 miles here on a 1-mile track. And a lot of people here on pit road are thinking about maybe not risking it. We know Earnhardt's crew, Chocolate Myers, here their gas band standing against the pit wall, waiting to possibly top off that tank. We'll see if they get the 1 lap to go signal. They may make an entry on the pit road. They are still waiting. We're watching the Martin crew, the Earnhardt crew, and of course, Bill Elliott, our leader.
Well, Jerry, they are going green. They got the 1 lap signal last time, and so they did not get the opportunity to come in and top off the tank. And so the green flag flies on lap 409. Allison and Kyle Petty are at the front of the pack.
A lot of cars using this caution flag as an advantage, trying to get in front of the leaders to get a lap back. We see Rusty Wallace, Tim Schrader, Hut Strickland, all these cars in front of the leader, Bill Elliott, hoping that now they can get a caution flag and get the lap back and get on the lead lap.
Elliott and Earnhardt are right there, first and second. And there's Mark Martin right behind Earnhardt. So first, second, and third are right together, tied together, it looks like. Going inside of Tim Schrader. Martin looks low coming out of 4. Makes it 3 abreast coming out of there. Now Schrader positions himself between Earnhardt and Martin for the moment, but here comes Mark to the inside and passing Ken Schrader.
Oh, he made that look easy, awfully easy.
Martin has had his ups and downs, but the bottom line is that he has, for the most part, stayed in the lead lap. When he wasn't in the lead lap, he set out to get back in the lead lap, and he did. And he's kept the leaders in sight nearly all day.
Look at Bill Elliott on the inside of Rusty Wallace, right in front of Earnhardt. There's Bill on the inside of Rusty. Rusty goes up the hill. Bill on the inside, trying to put Rusty a lap down. That's Hut Strickland right in front of him.
Rusty would be 7th, right, Ned?
Yeah, I think that, yes. He is 7th.
Earnhardt chooses Rusty Wallace as the guy that he thinks is going to pass Bill Elliott.
Oh, look at Dale close in.
Mark Martin just looking for a place to run.
You can't get closer than this. The top 3 go at it.
Side by side, almost rubbing sheet metal down in the first corner.
Earnhardt, Elliott, Martin. Martin looking for second position. He's got it. For the moment, they touch coming out of 4.
And they might have touched again going down in turn one.
Well, that's working to Bill Elliott's advantage as they race side by side. He's just driving away from it.
Boy, Mark Martin's car working so well in the middle of 3 and 4, in the middle of 1 and 2 on the bottom of the racetrack. But still, Earnhardt fighting so hard to keep, and he does take that second spot away from Mark Martin.
Let's take a look again how they touched twice in about a half a lap. Here's the first little bump.
There we see the smoke come off the tires when they rub the sheet metal.
And then
they
boom.
touch again. Going down turn one.
And if anybody said Mark Martin was stroking, that's pretty aggressive driving.
That is for sure.
But we see the telltale smoke coming off Dale Earnhardt's car. That means that as the more laps he runs, the hotter that tire gets and the more it wants to slide up the hill.
Seems like it's becoming more evident. So that battle settles down now for just a little bit, although the tire smoke continues off Earnhardt's car. It is Bill Elliott in the lead as he tries to put a lap on Rusty Wallace, put him down another lap. For the moment, Rusty has him back in the lead lap, but nope, Rusty now goes a lap down as Bill passes. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Richard Childress.
On the field, passing by here, we'll let some of the cars go by. Richard, last time you made a chassis adjustment on the car, but we're still seeing a lot of smoke out of that right front tire. What's the problem?
Well, the chassis is still a little too tight. You know, we're down to sticker tires, and those sticker tires are just automatically too tight. So, you know, we're going to have to go the best we can right here.
You're pitted with 94 laps to go. Can you go all the way? I mean, you're thinking about bringing him back in and popping off the tank.
Now, we go about 92. We may try to stretch it. We'll just see where we're at.
Their calculations said they can go 92 laps. They pitted with 94 to go. It's going to be close.
And it doesn't get any better than this on the racetrack. It is Bill Elliott leading in a great battle between the two in Winston Cup points, Earnhardt and Martin. Back after this. Our live coverage of this Peak Antifreeze 500 Winston Cup race here at Dover. Live coverage of the PGA Canadian Open. That's right after the checkered flag drops here at Dover Downs next on ESPN. The average speed of the race at the moment is near a record. 123.8 is where we are right now, and the race record is 124.7. So we're less than a mile an hour from the all-time race record held by Ricky Rudd. Pace being set by Bill Elliott.
Right now, Bob, there are 5 cars on the lead lap. Bill Elliott, the leader. Dale Earnhardt second. Mark Martin third. Davey Allison is fourth. And in 5th place is Kyle Petty. Now, Allison and Kyle Petty are not too far out in front of Bill Elliott, but they got a pretty good lead out in front of him. So if the caution should come out, they would be in good position.
Harry Gant in number 33 is involved in a battle for 8th position. There's Harry. Right behind him is Hut Strickland and Ken Schrader. Hut Strickland in another good run in the Bobby Allison car. His car was driven to 13th place by Harry Gant last week.
As a matter of fact, I think they penalized Harry 2 or 3 spots at the end as well. I think the car finished about 10th, and they moved it back 3 spots for passing on the caution flag. I think that's what the infraction was.
Schrader working on it there now for the
Now we could break one of these winless streaks. In 1990, Bill Elliott has a 7-year streak on the line. He's won a race the last 7 years and is leading today, so he could break that. But here's the battle for second position. Earnhardt and Mark Martin.
The still trying to get Martin still trying to get by Earnhardt. You'd think that they was racing for $1 million the way they've been going after it the last 15, 20 laps.
You would think this was Atlanta and they were separated by a single point.
It might be for $1 million. You never know.
Might.
We say $1 million easy, don't we? Just like it was nothing.
I tell you. Elliott maintains the lead, though. Not all that far ahead of Earnhardt and Mark Martin.
Won a race for the last 7 years in a row, Bill Elliott, but winless so far this year.
His last win was at Phoenix, Arizona, last November.
I thought that Bill Elliott would really be concerned about that, and I talked to him this week, and he said, we've got a good race car team. You're going to have your ups and downs. We're in a down period right now. We will be back. Believe me, we'll be back. He is handling that as well as you could possibly handle.
Inside Brett Bodine's Quaker State Buick now, as we see here again on the right in that battle for second position up front. Martin on the inside and Dale Earnhardt on the outside.
And no, you're not looking at tape, folks. This is live.
It repeats just about every lap, but it is live.
Martin's able to run on the lower on the racetrack than Earnhardt, the car with lower, but he still can't get by. And then I believe if he could get by, he'd be able to run off from.
Yeah, I think
that now. Whoa.
Let's go to John Kernan with a comment on the Kyle Petty car.
Bob, Kyle desperately trying to stay out there as long as he can so he can maybe catch a caution, get a lap back. But now, concern, a couple of hot dog or sandwich wrappers have implanted themselves right on the two front grills. But now, as Kyle comes by, a sigh of relief from Gary Nelson and the crew as the wrappers are off. They've been on for about the last 5 or so laps. And the engine temperature, the water temperature was starting to rise. So now a lucky break as maybe a gust of wind blew those wrappers off the grill.
We've noticed a lot of hot dog wrappers blowing around the racetrack, but they are gone from the Kyle Petty car. But still, this battle rages on between Earnhardt and Martin.
It looks like last year and this year as well, these two guys have really put on a show. And look, Rusty Wallace
trying to get back in the lead lap.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who has the comment on Bill Elliott.
After the way Bill Elliott has run today, you cannot give enough credit to Mike Beam and the crew. Now, Mike Beam is the crew chief for the Coors team. They have worked so very hard trying to get a car to adapt to Bill Elliott. When Elliott won all those races back in '85, they were using a rear steer car. In the past year or two, they've been trying to work with a front steer car. They decided to go back to a banjo rear steer car, but they put front steering linkage on this car. It's the same car they ran at Richmond and ran so well with. They're going to run that car here. And bad news for the other competitors. It's the same car they tested with on last Monday at Martinsville, and it ran very, very well there. So it could be an omen for the rest of the year for the Bill Elliott fans.
So it could be a factor next week when we go to Martinsville. We'll have that race for you next Sunday night. And Rusty Wallace gets back on the lead lap, and now there are six cars on the lead lap. Whoa, here's Martin once again.
Oh, they have been going at it today.
Boy.
Martin once again not able to get by. Mark, why don't you just go back and ride and watch Earnhardt ride around?
No, he's going to try to get up there in second place because I'm like you, Benny, and I think Mark Martin knows it too. If he can get around Earnhardt, I think he can pull away from him.
And Earnhardt drives it in the corner so hard, drifts up and gets a good bite up there. He gets such a good bite, he's able to pull back in front of Mark Martin.
Once again, let's review the top 5 in Winston Cup points as we came into this race and where they're running at the moment. Bodine is the only one that's going to lose a great deal. He dropped out of the race quite a few laps ago with a blown engine. Martin is 3rd, Earnhardt 2nd. 4th place in the points, Rusty Wallace is 6th, and 5th place, Bill Elliott, the leader of the event. in the Coors Ford, showing the way in the peak Antifreeze 500 here at Dover Downs. But the real battle for position and for the dominance in Winston Cup points between Mark Martin in number 6 and Dale Earnhardt in number 3. It's the same scenario every lap.
It seems like we've seen this picture 1,000 times today. And Earnhardt pulls away down the front straightaway.
There's Harry Gant right behind them in the green car, number 33, the Skoal Oldsmobile. Now he is the first car that's one lap down, currently being shown in 7th place, as there are 6 cars on the lead lap now. But now those 3 cars that are out in front of Bill Elliott are going to have to stop again, fellas. I don't think there's any question about that. They stayed out there to get that track position and hoping for a caution. That is Davey Allison, Kyle Petty, and let's see, Rusty, did he make a stop for fuel?
He's put fuel on me. He did not change
Okay,
sides.
so he might be able to go. It would run him awfully close, I think. But others back in the field, Ken Schrader and Michael Waltrip and Dale Jarrett. In fact, Jarrett and Waltrip came in just the lap before the green flag came out and kept their tanks off with the intent of going. They had 92 laps to go when they did that.
Martin to the inside of Earnhardt once again, coming off the second corner. They drift very close to each other. Martin with the advantage going into turn number 3, but as we have seen all race long, it is Earnhardt that comes back on the outside, and Harry Gant is hanging right in there with these guys.
Harry Gant might be able to drive by all of them if he could just get the shot, but he can't get by those 2 cars.
Mark Martin looking for his first Winston Cup championship. You know that there's got to be tremendous pressure on him. Is the pressure of the points race beginning to get to you?
I don't know what else you can do. You know, we're doing all we can do. I don't feel any pressure at all. I felt a lot more pressure last year and more than that in 1988. You know, we were trying to make it as a team, and I was trying to make it and get over the hump and get into a position where I might have a chance at the Winston Cup. That's pressure. This is not bad.
Well, okay.
What that reminds me of is Lee Trevino talking about how can you putt for $50,000. He said that's no problem. What's hard to do is putt for $5 when you ain't got $5.
Fellas, did we ever establish the fact that, Earnhardt wiggled a little bit there, that Bobby Hamilton has gone in relief for Darrell Waltrip in the Tide Chevrolet?
I don't believe so.
So for you Darrell Waltrip fans and Bobby Hamilton fans,
consider it mentioned.
Yep.
Looks like Mark pulled clear by Earnhardt coming out of the 4th corner, but look at Dale.
He's fighting back. He's fighting back hard, but Mark usually gets a real good bite off this corner, and he does that time. He may have him.
Yep.
He does.
Well, that long battle may be over as Mark Martin finally passes Dale Earnhardt and takes 2nd spot.
Now then, he's got to catch Bill Elliott and get by him if he's going to win the race. And he's got to run about 95 miles on a tank of gas.
I still think that fuel, as was the case last week, may determine who wins this race.
I think it'll play a big part if there's no caution. I absolutely think that it's going to get interesting those last 5 laps, or maybe the last 2 or 3 laps.
We have 49 to go. How about it, Jerry Punch?
Well, guys, if you smell something burning here in the pits, it's the calculator buttons up and down pit road. That's exactly what everybody's been doing. They're working on that fuel mileage. I have checked with Mike Beam, and they figure they'll probably have to pit with 5 laps to go if it should remain green. I have checked in the Rusty Wallace pit. They figure they'll have to pit with 6 laps to go. You heard the controllers tell us they could probably go 92 laps, but that would put them running out of gas with 2 laps to go. So it's going to be very, very close.
Don't go away, friends. We are far from over. We are far from determining the winner of this race, although Bill Elliott is the leader and will get the 5 extra bonus points for leading the most laps. So Bill Elliott continues to set the pace here at Dover as the race continues to wind down. We'll be right back. Bill Elliott. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville is the leader of the race, with Mark Martin 2nd, Dale Earnhardt 3rd, Davey Allison fourth, and Kyle Petty running in fifth position. And again, a reminder about our 900 number. Now, you can dial this anytime this week. 1-900-SPORTS-1. It will cost you $1.95 for the first minute and $1 for each additional minute. But you can hear your favorite driver talk about this race and what he's got on his mind and what he thinks about the race coming up. Plus, you can get a detailed report on the event or any other news from the world of Winston Cup racing. 1-900-SPORTS-1.
You know, Mark Martin has disposed himself of Dale Earnhardt, and he just might be gaining on Bill Elliott. There's Rusty Wallace, who's in the tail end of the lead lap. There goes Bill Elliott, our leader, down in turn one.
According to my stopwatch, Benny, Mark Martin is indeed gaining on Bill Elliott. Maybe the clip of about 1 to 2/10 of a second a lap.
Wow. This has, for the most part, been a Ford weekend. Can we explain that? All 7 Ford teams qualified in the top 13. We've got a Ford first and second.
I don't know. I asked a couple of guys about it, and they said they really didn't know.
2.1 seconds between Elliott and Martin.
Yeah, not long ago when he got by Earnhardt, he was about 3.5 seconds behind.
So he's got a lot of time to catch Bill Elliott, but I think both of them are going to have to stop and get just about a gallon of gasoline.
Less than 38 laps to go.
Lost a 10th.
Just about this, yeah. Lost a 10th, but almost too close to call. That's Greg Sachs just ahead of Mark Martin. And Rusty Wallace just ahead of Bill Elliott. And Wallace is in 6th position at the tail end of the lead lap. Do it again. It's going to be less of it. Yeah, not the same.
It's staying about the same thing. But Mark Martin that time passed Greg Sachs, and he caught him coming off the second corner. And that might have cost him a 10th or 2. We'll just have to see. We'll do it again every once in a while and just see if he, in fact, is gaining.
In fact, we'll just do it this time around when he comes by.
Okay, Ned. Here comes Bill. Now get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Okay. Now here comes Mark. Okay.
Oh.
Gained a 10th.
Sure did.
Boy, you do that good, Ned.
Let's do it again. 1, 2.
Sounds like fun.
Boy, Rusty is just hoping and praying that somebody will lose an exhaust pipe or something.
Debris on the racetrack.
Some type of debris for a caution play.
Hey, picked up 3/10 that time.
Bill Elliott passed the car of Dick Trickle, and that cost him a little bit, evidently, because Mark Martin, as you saw, folks, 0.3 of a second that lap.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Western Auto Mechanic of the race for the Peak Antifreeze 500 here at Dover is Mike Beam on the Bill Elliott car. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, I said a little bit ago, you can't give this guy enough credit, and certainly he's been rewarded already with a $1,000 award from Western Auto as the mechanic of the race. And Mike, congratulations on being named Western Auto Mechanic of the race.
Thank you very much. You know, the Forrest Mellon Mobile team, they've done a good job today. I just hope we can pull this race off for everyone, all our fans, Perry Mellon, and all the people who sent on Facebook. You know, it's been a long year. You know, I don't have to tell you that. You know, the guys back at the shop have done a great job in this car. Started in Richmond, you know, and we're testing with the Martinsville. We come up here with some of the pole. You know, I just hope and pray that we can win the race if we can. You know, we just go on, Mississippi. You know, I just hope all our fans have their fingers crossed. If you've ever prayed in your life, you better start winning now.
Let me ask you, Mike. I'm sure you probably can't make it all the way. What lap are you going to have to do the last gas and go?
Whenever that thing sputters, that's when we're coming.
All right, Beam here. They're trying to make that final call. It's going to be awfully, awfully close.
Elliott leads right now, and I'll bet that Mike would give away that $1,000 if he were guaranteed right now that Bill would win the race.
You know, excuse me, Benny, even as good as Mike Beam has been over the years, he has been the crew chief on some cars that have run awfully fast, but he has never been the crew chief on a winning car in Winston Cup competition. So you know how he wants to that car to come into victory lane.
Yep. Now less than 30 circuits to go.
In case you didn't understand exactly what Mike Beam said, I think he said, when are you going to stop? If it sputters, we'll stop. In other words, Bill Elliott will have his eye on one eye on the racetrack, the other eye on the fuel pressure gauge. As soon as the fuel pressure gauge starts to bounce around, they will then hit pit road, and probably not before that.
The question is, when will that be? Will it be with 5 laps to go? Will it be with 2 laps to go, 1 lap to go, or maybe it won't come until the cool-off lap? Who knows?
I think he sort of left himself open for that possibility.
Yep.
Jimmy Means in the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac going slow down the back straightaway. He lost an engine. He looked like coming off turn 4 the last time. He's able to coast around, and I don't think there's going to be a caution flag.
Alka-Seltzer Pontiac struggles to make it back to pit road. Jimmy Means. Ooh, look at the smoke coming out of the exhaust pipe of that car.
That's tough break. Jimmy had the car running good today. He just
couldn't make it to
the end. No. Darrell Bryant was helping a little bit in setting up the chassis of the car. Darrell worked with Dave Resendez in the Busch Grand National Series.
He'll take the Alka-Seltzer Pontiac all the way into the garage area as the green remains out on the racetrack with Bill Elliott in the lead. Mark Martin is second, and Dale Earnhardt is third with 474 laps completed. Speed World coverage of the Peak Antifreeze 500 from Dover, Delaware continues with 22 laps to go, and Bill Elliott still in the lead over Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt.
We saw the difference a moment ago between Mark Martin and Bill Elliott was almost 2 seconds. I think it was 1 point. Oh, okay, Ned, you ready?
Yep.
Let's try it again. There goes Bill. There comes Mark.
Hey,
2
lost
seconds.
A little bit. Yeah, he was down to 1.7 that last time, so he has lost a little bit. Elliott might have got the message and said, hey, I better go.
We'll just check one. We'll have to check Ned's finger out and make sure it was correct. We'll do it once again and make sure that it was. All right, Ned, are you ready?
Yep, ready. Go.
Okay, that red car. Now here comes the other red car. Boom. He's losing ground.
Yes, he is.
Mark Martin is losing ground a little bit.
Lap that time, 1/10 of a second. Now, do they have to stop? Or don't they have to stop? Now, there are a couple of cars, Morgan Shepherd coming in now. Hut Strickland just made a pit stop. And Jimmy Spencer coming down pit road right now. And Kyle Petty and Davey Allison is going to have to make a pit stop, I think, in the next 8 or 10 laps.
Robert Yates has apparently made it known on the radio that they're not going to come in, right, John?
You want to talk about a big gamble and you want to talk about fuel economy, somebody needs to talk to Robert Yates because they last pitted on lap 389. He thinks they can go the distance. That would be 111 laps, 111 miles. And Bob Jenkins, I don't even have a calculator down here.
Well, I don't either, but I don't think they can do it.
Well, I tell you, that would be really, really stretching it.
If they do that, NASCAR will own that car because they'll tear it in a million pieces trying to find that extra gas tank.
And anyway, Davey has performed well in the Haviland Texaco Ford this afternoon.
Kenny Schrader, who was running in the 8th position in the Kodiak Chevrolet, just made a pit stop for some fuel. And here comes Kyle Petty down pit road. As we suspected, he was one of those drivers that would have to make a pit stop for fuel. And here he comes now with 17 laps to go.
1001, 1002, 1003, go.
3 seconds. That was a signal. 1003 to go.
He darn near overshot the pit, too. That was Gary Nelson barking the time to Kyle. He builds up more speed. He rejoins the track on the backstretch. Now watch this. He came in a little too hot and nearly overshot the pits. Now there's Gary on the right with the headset on, counting 1001, 1002, 1003, and at that point, Kyle knew to go.
And Richard Bostic, the gas man, running after car, trying to get that last drop of fuel in it.
15 laps to go.
And that's the thing that all these drivers have to be concerned about is getting in the pits as fast as possible, but not overshooting the pits.
We understand that 28, Davey Allison, maybe is out of gas. He and Kyle Petty were running together on the racetrack in 4th and 5th position. Davey's still running 4th, and yes, indeed, he's coming off the banking now on the pit road. And I didn't think there was any way, Benny. I agree with you. Let's go to the pits and John Kernan, who's there to cover this stuff.
Jake Elder has the signboard, Dave. He comes in just a little bit hot. He gets it stopped, though. Norman Koshimizu gets a 1, 2, 3 seconds worth of gas and finally is away. So they were off on their calculations. That wasn't even 100 laps. That was about 96, 97 laps from the last one. And what about Mark Martin? Will he have to stop for fuel? Jerry Punch.
You know, it's very interesting. I just talked to Jack Roush, and if you look on the speedway, you'll see that Mark Martin has actually dropped back a little bit from Bill Elliott. Now, what Roush figures is that by their calculations, they think that possibly Earnhardt and Elliott are going to have to stop. But they figure if they slow Mark down enough, they might be able to make it. So they're going to roll the dice and see if they can pick up a win here at Dover, Delaware.
And that's why the interval was changing. But you know what I think, guys? Now, I don't do this very often. I think that Dale Earnhardt has sort of fallen back here in the 3rd position, conserving fuel. And I think he can go the distance, and I think he's going to win this race.
Huh? Well, okay. I mean, you can think whatever you want to. It's incorrect, but you can think it.
Well, who do you think's going to win, though?
Well, I think that Mark Martin is probably going to win because he, right now, is running a little bit higher on the racetrack. But for 50 or 60 laps, he ran lower than anyone else, which is a shorter distance around the racetrack. He's the only guy, Bob, that may be able to make it.
Okay, Ned.
Well, I tell you, if either one of the 3 can make it, it'll be Bill Elliott.
Wait a minute, where did he come from?
Well, we've got 3 different opinions up here.
Now, Bill did stop that last pit stop, that last caution, didn't he? Or did he stay out on the racetrack?
No, he came in.
He stopped and changed tires.
All right, okay.
Let's go to John. What's the story there on the Davey Allison?
Well, Joey Knuckles came up. He said, hey, we didn't run out of gas. We lost the cylinder. Davey thought that when they lost the cylinder, they kind of had a drop in the power. He thought that he was out of gas, so they brought it in, filled it up with gas. But I just heard Davey go by, and yeah, he's running on about 6 or 7 cylinders. So who knows? If might have held up, they might have been able to go 111 miles, but I don't know.
Here comes Rusty Wallace in for a pit stop. This will be a splash and go for Rusty. There are 9 laps to go. 9 to go. Here's Wallace stopping and going very quick.
So that'll take him out of 4th place. It puts him a lap down. All of these cars that we've seen, like Davey Allison and Kyle Petty, who have made those pit stops, have gone a lap down when they came into the pits. So that's going to jumble the standings up. Terry Labonte's in the pits right now in the Skoll Oldsmobile, getting just a dash of fuel.
So is Brett Bodine. Both of those guys make quick stops and go back out. Elliott continues to lead. This time by, it'll be lap 493. 7 laps to go.
Elliott went by Richard Petty. He has Butch Miller now in the Banquet Foods Chevrolet in front of him. Bill Elliott slowed down a little bit. Has slowed down a little bit. Mark Martin is catching him up. I don't know if he's trying to save fuel or just what he's doing.
Well, I think he had to get off of it a little bit when he ran it behind Butch. He wasn't sure which way he was going to go, and he had to back off for just a moment to see which way he was going to go and not take any chances there.
Folks, there is 6 laps to go, 6 miles for the love of a gallon of gas. At $1.75 a gallon, it'd be cheap.
Now, you remember, quite a few laps ago, Jerry reported that according to the calculations that he had heard, Elliott would have to come in with 5 laps to go. I don't think, nope.
There's 5 laps to go. Now, 5 laps to go.
I don't think he's going to come in. I think he's going to stay out there and win this race.
Well, that's what he said a while ago.
Jerry, what about it?
Well, I think the Coors crew realizes that probably Mark Martin can make it all the way. So Mark Martin's fuel efficiency is going to force both the car number 9 and the car number 3 to try to make it the distance. Mike Beam is very religious right now, and I'm sure he said a prayer a minute ago that car makes it another 4 laps.
Okay, there are 4 laps to go for Bill Elliott. Can he hold on? There's Mark Martin in 2nd position. Can he go the distance? Dale Earnhardt is in 3rd position. Now, Ken Schrader has gone 2 laps down there in the 25 car. He's in 10th at the moment.
Bill Elliott comes by once more. There he goes. There comes Mark Martin. They once again.
3 laps to go, and there's Dale Earnhardt. 3 miles to go.
Jerry, I don't know if you heard Mike Bean, but when he talked to you down there, he said he asked for every Bill Elliott fan in America to play for him to have enough gasoline.
He comes off the 4th corner. There are 2 laps to go. 2 miles isn't very long, but for Bill Elliott, it seems like it's probably 200. Now with 1.5 miles to go as he passes the halfway point down the backstretch. Still on the gas. There are the members of the Mark Martin, Steve Meal and Jack Roush. Here's the white flag for Bill Elliott. 1 more lap to go. Elliott still leads. Martin is still 2nd. Earnhardt still 3rd. Is Bill Elliott going to be able to make it all the way around, or is he going to run out of fuel? It looks pretty good for him right now. He heads for turn number 3. The car still appears to be under power.
He's got to get to turn 4, though, Bobby. He'll have to get to 4 to be sure.
Here he is, off of turn number 4. The crowd goes wild. Bill Elliott does it. He wins his first race of the year. Martin is 2nd, and Dale Earnhardt finishes in 3rd position. The Elliott crew, and there are Meal and Roush writing down their final calculations. They end up in 2nd position. Let's go to Jerry, who's with Mike Bean.
They are hugging and cheering. Mike, congratulations, my friend.
Thank you very much. I tell you, at Coors Mellon, one Thunderbird was great. You know, I got to thank all of the guys at the shop, JW and TC and Glenn, especially Phil and Melvin in the body shop, Mike Colt. You know, I want to name all of them. You know, Bush Reagan, you know, Ernie's guys in the motor room, they done a great job. You know, and Banjo Matthews, this is a new car we ran to Richmond. The boys worked all night, one night, just to, so we can, you know, come up here and sit on the pole. I just thank the Lord that it happened here at Dover, you know, and all the fans, you know, I'm glad for all of them.
And a well-deserved win, his first win as a crew chief in Winston Cup Racing. Mike Beam here takes the win at Dover, Delaware. We'll be back with words from our winner, Bill Elliott, his first win of the year, after this.
Downs, where Bill Elliott has emerged from the Coors Ford victorious for the first time in the 1990 season. It's been 23 races since he won a Winston Cup event. He now extends his streak to 8 years, and not only does he win the race, but he wins the Unical bonus money. Our Road Handler Winner's Circle interview with Jerry Punch.
Well, appropriate here that he gets a big hug from Unical. You just picked up the Unical bonus money as well. But, Bill, congratulations on win number 1 for 1990.
Well, we always wondered when it was going to be, and I'll be darned, I didn't think it was going to be here at Dover. But, you know, we came here, we were kind of shot in the bucket. This is a new cat-type banjo car, you know, and we just kind of made a stab at it, and we guessed this morning of what we're going to do chassis-wise, and I guess we guessed pretty close because, you know, the Coors Light, Mellon, Ford Thunderbird just worked right all day long. And, you know, I'd like to thank all the people that really helped me. You know, Mike Beam did a heck of a job. And, you know, I just hate we ain't won a race before now. You know, we had a good run at Michigan and several other places. And, you know, everybody's worked real hard, and I'm just glad to be here. You know, from the guys back at the shop to the guys right here, they did a heck of a job.
There was a lot of kneeling going on in the pits those last 5 or 6 laps. As the crew now celebrating behind you. Did you think the gas would hold out? I mean, Mike Beam had his hands crossed and he had his eyes closed, hoping those last 3 laps you'd make it.
Well, I hoped it would. You know, I just kept getting easier and easier in the throttle because I kept seeing how far Mark was behind me. And there was about 5 laps ago, I kept watching the fuel pressure, and I was just hoping, and the fuel pressure stayed up there. I knew if nothing happened, I had her made.
Well, the first win for 1990, but what's the bad news for the other competitors? This car is the one you tested at Martinsville, and it should be equally as strong there next week.
Boy, I hope so. The car ran awful well at Martinsville, and I sure hope that we can, you know, go back. I was hoping I was going to get through here and not tear the race car up, and I did, and we're going to go to Martinsville. And I just like to at least finish in the lead lap for once at Martinsville, but we had a great day.
Bill Elliott doing his version of the Monster Mash here at the Monster Mile, picking up win number 1 for 1990. Let's see how Mark Martin is faring with John Kernan.
Well, Mark Martin might have a sore neck, but I tell you really came through with flying colors this afternoon.
Well, thanks. I can't say enough for the crew, man. Those guys are the best. They keep me going. They got me in a good race car all the time. And that Folgers bunch is just they're my guys, I tell you what. It was a good run for us. Like I said a little earlier, you know, we really would have liked to have had a chance to win. We had a good race car. We had some bad luck today, but overcame it. You know, Bill Elliott needed a win today, and I'm glad he got it. I wish we could have got it, but if we couldn't, you know, I'm glad to see Bill win.
I understand you were certain that you could go the distance on the fuel stop, but you thought Elliott may have to come in. Did you have your fingers crossed there at the end?
They asked me with 15 to go, could I catch him? I said no, and they said, well, then give it up. Start saving gas. That's what we did.
Mark Martin, a second-place finish. And, Bob, how about the points? How is this going to shape up there?
Well, it gives Mark 5 additional points, so he lengthens his lead now on Dale Earnhardt to 21. Let's take a look at the top 10 finishers. Bill Elliott's win here is the first from the pole since Cale Yarborough did it in 1976. Here at Dover Downs after a wonderful, exciting afternoon of racing that was won by Bill Elliott over Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt. Take a look at the point standings now, unofficially. Mark Martin to 21 over Dale. Jeff has now passed Rusty Wallace in 5th in the battle for the Winston Cup.
And Bill Elliott's not too, Bob, so he's on.
You heard Jerry say in Victory Lane he had a very strong car testing at Martinsville recently, and so the race there. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Michael Waldrop. Kernan,
I've heard a lot of people tell me I look a lot like Jerry, but I'm not Jerry, and this isn't Darrell, even though he might look a little bit like Darrell. But you had a pretty good run today, Mike.
Yeah, we brought our country time Maxwell House Pontiac home to 5th place. It was fast all day, but it wouldn't get fast until about 20 laps on the tires, and I don't understand it for nothing, because after that point we were faster than the leaders and ran faster than the leaders most all day long. But until we get that little niche figured out, that just shows you how tough it is to win a race. You just have a problem for 10 or 15 laps, you're a half a lap behind, and it's hard to play catch up from there. But I'm real pleased for my team. I'd like to say hi to Mom and Daddy watching back home, and all my brothers and sisters and friends and fans and all that.
Now I understand a Grand Slam on Thursday night that you've had a couple of contacts from some Major League scouts.
Well, it's a stretch run, John, you know, and they're really looking for somebody to give them a little added extra boost. And me and Jose have been talking. I might go out to Oakland and play for the A's, but kind of tentative. As good as I run today, I'd rather win a race this fall instead of knock a homer in the World Series.
I would say last week you had the best qualifying effort of the year. Second, you're feeling like you're getting close after a top 5 finish today. Well,
I know these races are mine. I don't know why, but we run real well on the tougher, short tracks. And I believe we can win Martinsville, and I believe we can win Wilkesboro. And we've got everything. We're not cutting back because of the team. We're going to throw our best at them the rest of the year.
Michael Waltrip and crew taking it one step at a time.
At the end of the race, the 6th place finisher, Dale Jarrett, and we'll be back to talk with him in a moment. Bill Elliott, first win of the year. Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt, Harry Gant, Michael Waltrip, 6th place finisher, Dale Jarrett. Jerry Punch is with him.
And it's the best finish of the year for a strong Citgo team that's really coming together. And Dale, an outstanding run for you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Jerry. The guys did a great job. I'd like to thank Citgo and the Wood brothers for putting me in this fine race car. We got a little down at the first of the race there and got a lap behind. We were overheating and kind of had to back out of it and save the engine until we could get in under a caution and get that fixed. And we got some water back in the engine, and everything went good after that. The car really ran well, and I thought I might get my lap back there a couple of different times, but we just couldn't get the brake that we needed. But the last set of tires then that we put on was a little bit too tight, and that hurt me a little bit. But I'd like to congratulate Bill on his win and, getting those forward points there for the Manufacturers Championship, and that helps out a lot. But we hope to help out